Welcome to States Day 2016, presented by the Bloomfield Hills High School Forensics team, the MIFA Class A 2016 state champions. We have 27 of our best performances lined up for you today, ranging from limited preparation events to public address speeches and interpretation categories. We can't wait to highlight some of the best performances in the state, so sit back, relax, and enjoy States Day 2016.
North Korean Congress meets Obama's first commencement speech of 2016 and a second day of DPS stickouts. All this and more coming up on WISE News, the smartest way to get your news. I'm Ria Doshi and we'll start today with international stories. Greece's parliament is due to vote on pension overhauls and tax increases on Sunday night amid strikes and street protests, in a move the government hopes will impress the country's creditors and unlock bailout funds. But Greece's most influential creditors, Germany and the International Monetary Fund, remain deadlocked over the terms of Greece's bailout plan, which the IMF thinks is badly flawed but Germany says can't be changed. The Eurogroup will meet in Brussels on Monday. Changes in North Korea are also unexpected. North Korea's once-in-a-generation ruling party Congress passed a third day with a little sign of changes in dictator Kim Jong-un's leadership course. In a 3-hour speech broadcast on North Korean television on Sunday, but made a day earlier, Mr. Kim said he was committed to holding nuclear weapons, but added that Pyongyang wouldn't use them unless national sovereignty was threatened. Now that we've wised up on international affairs, let's smarten up on national matters. Sarah Palin will work to defeat House Speaker Paul Ryan by backing his primary opponent in Wisconsin, the former Alaskan governor told CNN's Jake Tapper. Palin said that her decision was sparked by Ryan's bombshell announcement to Tapper last week that he wasn't yet ready to support Donald Trump, the Republican presumptive nominee. Palin endorsed Trump back in January. Palin speculated that Ryan's announcement was driven out of a desire to seek the White House in 2020. While people are edging their way into the White House, President Obama is preparing to leave. President Barack Obama warned against a culture of political correctness on college campuses Saturday as he urged students at Howard University to engage in the political process at the local level. In delivering his first commencement speech of the 2016 graduation and the final year of his presidency, Obama made the case that action on issues important to black students, including mass incarceration and police brutality, required careful attention to local politics and a willingness to make bargains with those who hold opposing views. This brings us to the brain, where I give my smartest thoughts on today's news. Please note that these are purely my own views and do not reflect those of WISE News or its affiliates. President Obama is correct in warning youth now to learn how to compromise. Compromising is a lesson that all ages are taught. In our childhood, sharing and compromising are seen in daily life. In our adulthood, it's seen in making deals in business or settling for a candidate in politics. President Obama has surely had to learn this lesson in the White House, especially with a Republican majority Senate holding many opposing views. This also may provide insight on President Obama's views of the 2016 election. Many young voters are motivated by Bernie Sanders' message, but the math simply does not add up for Bernie to be the Democratic nominee. President Obama is likely pushing for them to compromise and vote for Hillary Clinton, who may adopt some of Sanders' policies to keep Republican frontrunner Donald Trump from office. President Obama's warning of youth to compromise may not be only to teach them a valuable life lesson. Thank you so much for tuning into today's segment of The Brain and join the conversation at wisernews.com. Now, let's redirect our minds to today's local headlines. Nearly all Detroit public schools were closed today as mass teacher stickouts over pay rolled into a second day. The district released a list of 94 closed schools, 3 remained open. The district is projected to have run out of cash by June 30th. While Detroit is running out of options, Fiat is looking into some new ones. Fiat Chrysler Automobiles CEO Sergio Marchionne spent about 20 minutes on Friday candidly answering questions about the automaker's recent high-profile deal with Google to build 100 Pacifica hybrid minivans for the tech giant. Bouncing over to sports, Keith Appling, named Michigan's Mr. Basketball in 2010, is charged with carrying a concealed weapon, a 5-year felony, possession of a loaded firearm in a vehicle, a 2-year misdemeanor, and possession of marijuana, a 1-year misdemeanor. A June 24th preliminary exam was set to today. Breezing over to your weather, spring has arrived to Michigan. It is going to be a high of 64 and a low of 47 and mostly cloudy. Thank you so much for tuning into today's segment of WISE News, where we make you smarter about current events in just 5 minutes. I'm Ria Doshi, and please have a wonderful night.
The economic crisis continues in Greece. Sarah Palin wages war against Speaker Paul Ryan, and teacher sickouts reach new levels in Detroit. All this and more coming up on WAGE News, Waging a War Against Inaccuracy. I'm Jack Rolton. We begin tonight's broadcast with alarming news from Athens, as Greece's parliament is due to vote on pension overhauls and tax increases on Sunday night amid strikes and street protests, in a move the government hopes will impress the country's creditors and unlock bailout funds. But Greece's most influential creditors, Germany and the International Monetary Fund, remain deadlocked over the terms of Greece's bailout plan. The legislation on which Greek lawmakers will vote covers the bulk of a package of austerity measures worth around 5.4 billion euros, or 3% of gross domestic product, that creditors have asked for. And while Greece changes its economy, North Korea does little to change its government as well. North Korea's once-in-a-generation ruling party Congress passed a third day, with little signs of change in dictator Kim Jong-un's leadership course. In a 3-hour speech broadcast on North Korean television on Sunday, Mr. Kim said he was committed to holding nuclear weapons, but added that Pyongyang wouldn't use them unless national sovereignty was threatened. He also referred to a new 5-year economic plan through 2020, but gave few specifics and emphasized state guidance. Closer to home, Sarah Palin will work to defeat House Speaker Paul Ryan by backing his primary opponent in Wisconsin, a former Alaskan governor. Palin said that her decision was sparked by Ryan's bombshell announcement last week that he wasn't yet ready to support Donald Trump, the Republican presumptive nominee. Palin endorsed Trump back in January. Ryan's announcement highlighted a deepening rift in the party over Donald Trump, as several party elders have vowed to skip the GOP convention in July. And the political debate reaches the Oval Office as well. President Barack Obama warned against a culture of political correctness on college campuses Saturday, as he urged students at Howard University to engage in the political process at the local level. In a commencement address at the historically black university in Washington, Obama said students should not attempt to block lectures and interrupt speakers with whom they disagree. In delivering his first commencement speech of the 2016 graduation season, and the final year of his presidency, Obama made the case that action on issues important to black students, including mass incarceration and police behavior, require careful attention to local politics and a willingness to make bargains with those who hold opposing views. And now to WAGE's War Room, where I give you my take on the news and determine whether we should wage war on issues facing the nation. Please note that these views are those solely of the broadcaster and do not necessarily reflect those of WAGE News or its affiliates. Amidst a contested and aggressive presidential election filled with hateful rhetoric, President Obama raises a valid and a very correct point at Howard University. Ultimately, all people, regardless of race, color, or other differences, should be more involved in government at a local level. Participation in local government and local politics is at a severe low in America. Politico reports that only 19% of Americans contacted their local representatives within the last 12 months, and only 25% attended a public meeting. Most government policy making occurs at a local level. The issues that Obama raised, like mass incarceration and police behavior, would occur at this level as well. It's the most effective area to spur change. It's one small step at a time, and that starts at the local government. People should definitely begin to be more involved in their local governments if they want to see change, because it's where change is the easiest to happen and where it's the most effective to happen as well. That's all the time we have for back to your scheduled broadcast. And right here in Michigan, nearly all Detroit public schools were closed today as mass teacher sickouts over pay rolled into a second day. The district released a list of 94 closed schools. 3 remained open. The district is projected to run out of cash by June 30th of this year. Without funds from the state, teachers who have opted to receive their pay over 12 months instead of the course of the school year will not get checks this summer. And while teachers aren't answering questions in class, Fiat Chrysler answers them about their partnership with Google. Fiat Chrysler CEO Sergio Marchionne spent about 20 minutes on Friday candidly answering questions about the automaker's recent high-profile deal with Google to build 100 Pacifica hybrid minivans for the tech giant. Marchionne acknowledged that the initial deal with Google is very targeted and limited in scope. He said Google, which has been developing autonomous vehicle technology for 7 years, has more negotiating leverage than Fiat Chrysler or any automaker because of its profits and market value. And bouncing the ball into sports, a June 24th preliminary exam was set today for former Michigan State basketball player with a felony offense after he was allegedly spotted pulling a firearm out of the trunk of his car. And breezing through your weather, it's currently 64 degrees with a low of 47. That's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning into WAGE News. I'm Jack Rolton.
Spain, 1519. All right. Show me 7. All right.
Hey, one more roll, and this time for this.
Let me see that.
Tulio, look, a map of El Dorado, the city of gold. Oh, this could be your destiny or fate.
Miguel, if I believed in fate, I wouldn't be playing with
Loaded dice.
That's a map, not a plan.
But that's what makes it interesting. Partner.
Partner. Okay. Show me 7. Yes.
Hey, that's not possible. Those must be loaded dice. I'll have Cortez's man arrest you.
What are you talking about? We don't have any loaded. He gave me the loaded dice. On God, he.
How dare you impugn my honor? I shall cut you to ribbons.
You mincing, fencing, twit. Ha! Take that.
Ha, you fight like my sister.
I fought your sister. That's a compliment.
Brag on.
Heathen. Ladies and gentlemen, we've decided it's a draw. Shing!
Remember to tip your waitress, and we'll see you next year.
You've been great.
Adios.
Run! 2 swindling con men.
Miguel.
And Tulio.
Get their hands on a map to the fabled city of gold.
El Dorado. When they're shipwrecked in the New World, the pair follows a map to the secret city, where their loyalty will be tested.
Do they return home rich men?
Or continue to live in this paradise.
In The Road to El Dorado.
Screenplay by Terry Rossio.
And Ted Elliott.
Run! Quick, hide in these barrels on this ship.
Excellent. We're both in barrels.
Wait, shh. Listen. Today we sail in search for El Dorado. For Spain, for glory, for gold!
Viva Cortez!
It's General Cortez! Okay, on 3 we jump out and we head for the docks.
1, 2, 3.
Ha!
Uh-oh.
Intruders! I will not tolerate stowaways. You two will be flogged. To the brig! Miguel, run onto that lifeboat! Quick, get in!
Whoa! Whoa! Woo!
That was close.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it should only be a matter of a few hours before we get back to Spain.
18 hours later.
We went the wrong way! Ah!
Did you ever imagine it would end like this? Any regrets?
Besides dying? I never had enough gold! Ah! Wait a minute. It's land!
Tulio, it's El Dorado. All will be revealed on the trail we blaze. Behold, as the prophecies have foretold, the gods have come to us. My lords, I am Zeko Khan, your devoted high priest and speaker for the gods.
I am Chief Tanabuk. What names may we call you two?
I am Miguel.
And I am Tulio.
And they call us...
Yeah, that's good. Miguel and Tulio!
To commemorate your arrival in El Dorado, I propose a sacrificial ceremony at dawn. My lords. Tulio, psst, Tulio, they actually think we're gods.
El Dorado's an entire city of suckers. All we have to do is load up on the gold and get the hell out of here.
Tulio, this place is incredible. We'll be living like kings.
Miguel and Tulio.
Tulio and Miguel,
Mighty and powerful gods!
El Dorado has been granted the great blessing of Lords Miguel and Tulio. But what have we done to show our gratitude? These gods deserve a proper tribute with human sacrifice. Tulio, we've got to do something.
Okay, I've got it. Stop! This is not a proper tribute.
No.
The stars are not in position for this tribute.
Perhaps I misread the heavens.
To err is human. My lords, may the people of El Dorado offer you our tribute of gold. That's a lot of gold.
How are we gonna get this back to Spain?
I don't know.
We hate to be ascending into the heavens so soon, but some urgent business has come up. You know, family matters, just a little bada bing, bada boom. You know what I mean, we're leaving.
As we say in the spirit world, there's your plan,
your
and then there's
plan.
the gods' plan.
Us, the
And our
gods.
plan calls for a boat.
A boat.
Because we're going to
Ascension.
kind of in a horizontal pattern at first, and then we're going to go vertical as we get
Verticalness, yes.
further out to sea. Horizontal, vertical. To build a boat large and glorious enough for you, my lords, would take about 3 days. 3 days? How are we supposed to keep this up for 3 days? Hey, we'll just have to lie low.
But Tulio, this place is amazing. I mean, there's so much I can experience, so many places I can explore. I wonder
Miguel,
what's up.
don't get ahead of yourself. We lie low, promise?
Yeah, all right.
Lord Tulio, a word, please.
Yes, Echo Khan.
My lord, the people of El Dorado are imperfect. They cheat and they steal and they lie. They will not respect you if you do not fear you, and we will make them fear us through human sacrifice. As it is prophesied.
Well, you know, all of this sounds really important. I really should be discussing with Lord Miguel.
And I will begin all the necessary preparations for cleansing.
Welcome to the Hotel El Dorado. Hi, guard, where is everybody?
They've been cleared from the streets, as you ordered, so the city can be cleansed, as you ordered. Anyone who disobeys your orders must be punished, as you ordered.
Well, it seems I've been giving a lot of orders, haven't I?
Zekel Khan has made your commands clear, my lord. He says that the prophecy must be written in the blood of the sacrifice.
I've got to find Tulio. We must stop Zekel Khan.
Miguel! There you are. We've got to get out of here now. The High Priest is nuts.
I know.
He's coming.
My lords, how about a ball game? As winners, of course, you will wish to have the losing team sacrifice your glory. For all of the sacred writings say that you will devour the wicked and the unrighteous.
This is getting a little out of hand.
Look, Zekel Khan.
Miguel, lay low.
No! I don't see anybody here who's wicked and unrighteous. Except for you, Zekel Khan. This city will have no more sacrifices, not now, not ever. Get out!
As the gods command.
It's tough to be a god. My lord, do you like your boat?
It's nice, but is it really fit for the gods?
My lord.
The mast. There's not nearly enough, a rope. Vertical ascension requires a lot more rope. Chief, I'm sorry, but this is a complete do-over.
Lord Miguel, if you wish to stay, you only need to say so.
Oh, as much as I love this city and your people, I have to go back with Tulio. We're partners. Chief, forget about the rope. I'll stay. Meanwhile, at Zekel Khan's evil lair.
Unwillingness to sacrifice those two are not gods, and this city will be cleansed, even if I have to do it myself. This potion, it will be a delightful way to bid the gods
Goodbye.
Meanwhile, at sea.
Well, what have we here?
Viva Cortez!
Land! Onward, men, to find El Dorado. Look at this, Miguel. We're finally able to go back to Spain and live like kings, Park.
Yeah, but isn't kings kind of a step down from gods?
What, Miguel? We can't stay here. We have a plan, remember?
How about we forget the plan?
This city will be cleansed. Now everyone will know the truth of your divinity.
Run!
I know what you are, and I know what you are not. And you are not gods!
Miguel, you're not a god? On God, liar.
How dare you impugn my honor? I shall cut you to ribbons.
You mincing, fencing twit! Ha, take that.
Ha, you fight like my sister.
I fought your sister. That's a compliment.
Braggart.
Heathen,
Take that! No!
Ah! A great force approaches El Dorado, and you will not survive. This city will be cleansed.
Not today, Zekel Khan. Not today. That was good, huh?
I've decided to stay. I love the city and the people too much.
Oh. Well, I guess this is it.
Good luck.
Yeah. You too. Lord Miguel approaching the city is an army of strangers.
Wait a minute, it's
Cortez.
Viva Cortez!
Men march forward. Keep searching for El Dorado.
Tulio, Chief Tannenbach and his men can't hold off Cortez.
I have an idea. So, we crash our boat into the pillars guarding the city. The wreck will block the entrance and Cortez can't get into El Dorado. You'll have to stay behind and help the people.
You may end up outside of the city without any gold.
And you'll be here. In El Dorado. Right?
Yeah. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. Let's go.
Bum, 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 bum. All right, Chief. On my signal. Bum, bum, bum,
He's not gonna make it.
bum, bum, bum.
I gotta help him. Whoa!
Miguel, what are you doing? Get off the boat. You'll never see the city again.
I know, but you didn't think that I was gonna let you have all the fun now, did you?
All right, let's go. Jump! Miguel. Miguel!
Woo! Now that was an adventure!
Yes, it was!
And Cortez can't get into the city.
No, he can't. And you know it was so much gold. I'm okay. I'm fine.
All right, come on. Let's go.
Wait. We don't have a map. We don't even have a plan.
But that's what makes it interesting. Partner.
Partner.
Shing! Remember to tip your waitress.
And we'll see you next year.
One of the things I've always loved about my grandpa was that he never really stood around and thought about what he wanted. He went out and he grabbed it. My grandpa went through rigorous years of education, he worked in the military, and until the day that he died, he continued to work for what he wanted. That's what's being said in today's quotation by Estee Lauder. I never dreamed about success, I worked for it. What's being said in today's quotation is that we can't simply sit passively by and wait for what we want to come to us. Instead, we have to take initiative, reach out, and grab what we're looking for. And we can look at this through three main facets of analysis. Firstly, we can take a look at SRS Aviation founder Sebong Giles Sambo. Secondly, we can take a look at actor Donald Glover and also rapper Childish Gambino. And thirdly, we can look at Olympic athlete Amy Van Dyken-Roon. First, we can take a look at Sebong Giles Sambo. Miss Sambo is the founder of SRS Aviation, one of the most successful airline companies in Africa at this time. However, Miss Sambo didn't get to the point of success that she's currently at by simply sitting around and dreaming about it. After being rejected from a major airline company because she didn't meet the height requirement, Miss Sambo decided that she wasn't going to spend the rest of her life thinking about what she wanted. Instead, she was going to take initiative and take action and simply go for it. She founded SRS Aviation and is now one of the leading pilots in Africa. What Miss Sambo teaches us and what's being said in today's quotation is that success and us reaching our full potential isn't necessarily about just dreaming about it. Once we realize what we want, we have to be able to go for it. It's what sets people apart. Their ability not only to recognize the things that they want out of life, but to be brave enough and confident enough in their abilities to actually go for that. And secondly, we can look at rapper and actor Donald Glover, who goes by the stage name of Childish Gambino. From a young age, Donald Glover grew up in a home in which he was told that while he may be able to dream about success, he would never really achieve it. He was told to go for mediocre by his parents and peers and family, saying that the best he could possibly do was a low-paying job that would carry him through his life in a stable way. Instead, Mr. Glover decided that he was different than everyone else, and because of this, he took it a step farther. Even though he came from a place in life and came from a location in which people simply dreamed about what they wanted but never really thought they could go for it, Donald Glover set himself apart by doing what he dreamed of. He started small, but as he grew, he is now one of the most well-known rappers and an extremely successful actor in America at this time, because he knew the difference between simply thinking about what you want and doing what you want. And when we do what we want, that is truly the mark of a successful person. And thirdly, we can take a look at Olympic athlete Amy Van Dyken-Roon. Miss Van Dyke-Roon is a well-known Olympic athlete, more well-known for the fact that she was paralyzed from the waist down in an ATV accident in 2011. However, Miss Roon decided not to let this terrible accident define who she was. Instead, she decided that what would define her was her ability to work through this. She didn't simply sit around and think about the fact that one day she wanted to be able to recover fully. Instead, she decided to start working very hard, training with her physical therapist, working with her family, spending days and days working towards her goal. Miss Ruin is an exemplary individual because she is the embodiment of today's quotation. She simply didn't sit around and, while moping in her current condition, think about what she wanted. Instead, she decided that she was going to walk again. And because of this, she worked extremely hard and is now on track to a full recovery. So we look back on today's quotation by Estee Lauder. I never dreamed about success, I worked for it. We can see firstly through Saban Giles Sambo, secondly through Donald Glover, otherwise known as Childish Gambino, and thirdly through Olympic athlete Amy Van Dyke in Ruin, that truly what sets us apart from other people and what determines our track of success in life is our ability to define a difference between sitting around and wishing we have what we want and doing something about it. If we ever want to be happy and if we ever want to be at a point of success, we have to move past simply recognize what we want out of life and take a step forward to do something about it, not only for ourselves, but for other people in the world around us. Because change doesn't happen simply by wishing it would. Thank you.
Almost all of us do it. We whisper about the latest news of our friends. We talk about them behind their backs. We indulge in the secrets that everyone wants to know. And we don't just do it, we kind of love it. Gossip. It has a lousy reputation, but it turns out that not all gossip is so bad. Today we will uncover the whole truth about gossip. First, we will whisper about the physiological causes of gossip. Then we will chatter about the motives behind gossip. And finally, we will chit-chat about the effects that gossip has. But before we move on, let's get one thing straight. Whether we do it consciously or not, nearly everyone gossips. I gossip, you gossip, your dad gossips, I bet even your dog gossips. Think of it less that there are people who gossip and people who don't. There are people who are good gossipers and people who aren't, said psychology professor Frank McAndrew. So even if you know someone who you think would never gossip, think again, because they're probably just better at hiding it. But why do we do it? Since the beginning of language itself, the human brain has been wired for gossip. According to anthropologist and evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar, as humans were fruitful and multiplied, we began to live in larger groups, and it became hard to keep track of what everyone was up to just by observing them. So we needed language. Language allows us to know what other people have been doing, even if we weren't there to witness it. In order to survive, early humans needed to know who could hunt, who could make fire, and who was a threat to the village. But why is gossip so ingrained in our brains? According to a neurology magazine, our brain's social cognition is another reason why we gossip. According to the article, social cognition is the ability to regulate our thoughts, actions, and behaviors based on the real, imaginary, or assumed presence of other people. In other words, it is a trait that makes us want to conform to the accepted norms and rules of society. And gossip is one of the ways in which we do that. So we are biologically wired to gossip, but we also have some complex motives behind why we gossip as much as we do. One motive is pro-social. Gossip has the function of warning other people about the untrustworthy or dishonest behavior of others. According to social psychologist Rob Willer, we find that those who engage in this form of gossip are generally driven by sincere desires to help others. So when I told my friend George never to trust Ashley, it wasn't to hurt Ashley, but to warn my friend about a possible enemy. Compared to pro-social gossip, rumor mongering is a whole different story. Rumor mongering is when we talk about other people in a negative way in order to deliberately shame them or get revenge. This is what we find in magazines such as People or Us Weekly, where the main subjects are Hollywood celebrities. But this type of gossip also occurs frequently in our daily lives. Like the other day, my friend Natalie told Billy, who told Rachel, who told her sister, who told Michael, who told me that Susie totally cheated on the biology test, so it must be true. Because of examples like this, rumor mongering is the primary reason why gossip is perceived so negatively. Another motive behind gossip comes from the theory that as humans, we bring each other down to bring ourselves up, according to the Society for Personality and Social Psychology. While talking about someone's failures, it makes us acknowledge our own success. So when I tell you that Maggie doesn't have a lot of friends or Joe lies all the time, it may be to make myself look better. On the other hand, according to the same study, while talking about someone's positive aspects, it makes way for self-reflection and improvement. According to Peggy Drexler, a psychology professor at Cornell University, another reason why we gossip is that gossip bonds people together. When you tell someone a secret, it establishes a sense of trust with that person, therefore creating a relationship. So now that I've told you about Susie's biology test and Maggie's lack of friends and Joe's dishonesty, we're basically BFFs, right? So now that we know the different motives behind gossip, let's take a look at the effects gossip has in the different places where it occurs. Perhaps not surprisingly, one of the most common places you will find gossip is in the workplace. Research from the University of Amsterdam found that 90% of total office conversation qualifies as gossip. Office gossip can create productivity issues, morale issues, since there is a loss of trust among coworkers, and even liability issues when pervasive gossip is deemed malicious harassment, according to Forbes magazine. But as stated before, not all gossip has to be bad. When coworkers share positive stories, it makes employees feel proud of where they work, thus reducing turnover and improving morale. Gossip also occurs in the virtual world. Social media has multiplied the opportunities for gossip. Pictures viewed on Facebook or Instagram or tweets on Twitter create a skewed sense of how we see each other. According to Michael Nysick from Curtin University in Australia, gossip and rumor are power tactics used particularly on social media sites in order to persuade others to believe information about themselves or others. Gossip can result in stigma and shaming for people where their identities and reputations are judged negatively. This goes to show how social media truly expands the definition of gossip. Through the use of social media, gossip plays a more prominent role in our lives and has perhaps more dangerous consequences. Now, besides just the spoken word, we have a whole other platform for sharing information that just may not be true. One other effect of gossip is that having a little dirt on someone makes them more relatable, according to Elite Daily. Take tabloid magazines, for example. When we read about how Taylor Swift binge watches hours of Netflix just like we do, it brings her down to our own level. So clearly, there are many effects of gossip as a whole. But what are the effects of gossip on the person who is gossiped about? According to Psychology Today, gossip hurts relationships and creates a climate of fear and resentment. On the other hand, according to the Association for Psychological Science, if someone knows they may be gossiped about and experiences the resulting social exclusion, they tend to learn from the experience and reform their behavior by cooperating more in future group settings. Although gossip, especially negative gossip, isn't exactly moral, it also isn't necessarily a character flaw. From the office to the playground to reading People magazine, gossip is all around us and plays a prominent role in our lives and relationships. Whenever you're gossiping, know that it isn't necessarily your fault and you're not the only one that does it. But we should also realize the reasons why we gossip. Whether it's with good intentions or bad, most of us gossip, whether we admit it or not.
Recently, the United States Treasury has announced that they will be making large changes to their money. In fact, one of the most important changes that has brought the public's attention to this is what they're doing with the $20 bill. They're changing the $20 bill and taking off Andrew Jackson, and instead replacing him with known abolitionist and women's rights activist Harriet Tubman. However, this brings up today's question: does Harriet Tubman deserve to be on the $20 bill? And we will look at three main ways today on why Harriet Tubman does deserve to be on the $20 bill because of her accomplishments throughout her life. And we will discuss this with three main trains of thought. We will first understand what she did in slavery. Next, we will comprehend what she did in the Civil War. And lastly, we will explore her time in the women's rights movement. However, first, it is essential that we understand what she actually did in slavery. But first, according to the New York Times on April 20th, 2016, Harriet Tubman was born a slave. However, and later in her life, she then escaped slavery. However, one of her most important decisions in life, which makes her very well known, is the fact that she did go back. And according to PBS.org on April 17th, 2016, Harriet Tubman made the trip on the Underground Railroad between the North and the South 19 different times. This is important because not one of these times she was caught. In understanding this, not only did she go back and forth, but she brought many slaves with her. And by the time she had made her 19th trip, she had saved over 700 slaves. According to the same PBS article on April 17th, 2016, they called her Moses because not only did she make the trip back and forth 19 different times, she led people on their way to freedom and didn't lose any one of those slaves throughout this time. This is a very large accomplishment in the life of Harriet Tubman and makes it a prime reason why she in fact deserves to be on the $20 bill. Throughout her life, not only did she escape the slave, but she had the nerve and she wasn't afraid to go back to help other people, which is why she deserves to be on the $20 bill. Next, it is also important that we understand what Harriet Tubman did in the Civil War to truly understand these accomplishments. After she made these 19 different trips back and forth between the North and the South, Harriet Tubman then decided to join the Union Army and fight in the Civil War. In the Civil War, she did many different things. In fact, according to History.com on April 19th, 2016, Harriet Tubman was not only a cook, but she also did the Army's laundry, and she was also a nurse. Being a nurse was very important in the Army, as not many nurses in the Army would in fact help the black soldiers, as just because the Civil War had started didn't mean there was still discrimination in society. Therefore, it was important that Harriet Tubman helped to heal these black soldiers, as not many other people would. Not only was she an important nurse in the Army, but americaslibrary.gov states that Harriet Tubman was also a spy for the Army. Because she knew the land so well, she was able to get behind enemy lines and help to spy on the Confederate Army. Not only was she also a spy, but americaslibrary.gov also states that she raided plantations to help free slaves to get them to fight for the Union Army. Not only freeing them, but also helping to make moves towards winning the war. Her accomplishments in the Civil War allow her and make her a prime candidate to be on the $20 bill. Lastly, it is essential that we understand how she actually was a very important part in the women's rights movement. This was after the Civil War. Harriet Tubman then decided to join this women's rights movement. NBC News on April 20th, 2016 states Harriet Tubman wore many different hats, as she did many different things within the women's rights movement. NBC News also states that she worked very closely with Susan B. Anthony to push for women's suffrage after the Civil War. As in the later 1800s, women did still not have the right to vote. Harriet Tubman saw this out, and she wanted to help move society forward, making equality throughout society. However, making equality throughout society didn't just stop Harriet Tubman with the women's rights movement. Another important accomplishment in her life, stated by the Washington Post on April 20th, 2016, states that Harriet Tubman also pushed for equality for black women in society. As black women in society did not have the same equality that white women did, or even black men did. Black women in society, according to the Washington Post article on April 20th, 2016, was very important to Harriet Tubman, as she was a black woman herself. However, after the Civil War, just because slavery had ended didn't mean the discrimination between the white race and the black race didn't end. This is what pushed Harriet Tubman to work toward pushing for black equality in society. In her life, this reigned very important, as she wanted to help move society forward, making it a very large accomplishment in her life, because she not only fought for herself, but she fought for those of others, especially in the women's rights movement. Therefore, when asked today's question, does Harriet Tubman deserve to be on the $20 bill? The obvious answer here is yes. And we looked at this through three main reasons. We first understood her accomplishments through slavery. Then we took a look at what she did in the Civil War to understand her accomplishments there. And lastly, we looked at her accomplishments in the women's rights movement to fully understand why she in fact wanted to push society forward for the better. So the U.S. Treasury has been wanting to make changes to their $20 bill. This has brought a lot of public attention in society, and we are fully capable to understand today why Harriet Tubman does in fact deserve to be on the $20 bill. Thank you.
When people ask me about my city, about our pulse, I say, it is beating. We are breathing. We breathe this air of division, of inequality, of passed down, of stepped on. We are not new. We are the continuum. This poem, Blue Collar Flower by Jessica Care Moore, describes the duality that is Detroit today. State-of-the-art sports arenas have sprung up, along with glittering bars and restaurants, but lifelong residents, full of hope as they watch this transformation, are too often faced with the gritty reality that their lives have not changed at all. Today, we will focus on the nightmare circumstances the majority of Detroiters face every day, shine a light on how misguided development efforts benefit the wealthy while leaving the poor behind, and detail the necessary strategies to awaken Detroit from this nightmare. Detroit faces problems like many inner cities: crime, unemployment, tragically bad schools, and a host of issues plaguing its decaying neighborhoods. State, county, and local officials have utterly failed Detroit, in one misguided attempt after another to combat these issues. The public money being funneled into Detroit is not being used in ways that truly matter. The results are staggering. Detroit has an unemployment rate of 24.8%. Of the 50 largest cities in America. That is dead last. Detroit has also suffered through a population exodus from a peak population of 2 million to just 700,000 today. This flee from Detroit has left behind a poor, undereducated shell of a city. According to the Economic Policy Institute, in order to be a successful and vibrant city, 40% of your population should be college educated. Yet, in Detroit, only 12% of residents have a college degree. The toll this takes on the poor is tragic. Residents are unable to pay even the simplest bills. Nearly 70,000 residents are in danger of having their water shut off. Another 100,000 residents are in danger of losing their homes due to money owed in back taxes. Sometimes, just small amounts. And what is being done to lower these numbers? Perhaps we should ask billionaires Dan Gilbert, owner of Quicken Loans, and Mike Ilitch, owner of Little Caesars Pizza, the acclaimed superheroes of this new Detroit. The famous weblog The Gawker says it best: as Detroit's government has been hollowed out by forces beyond its control, a small group of rich investors have descended onto the city, filling in public sector gaps with personal funds and remaking Detroit in their image. Through the efforts of Gilbert and Ilitch, Detroit has been split into two Detroits, housed within one city. These two Detroits have only three things in common: a name, sports teams, and a few expressways. The first Detroit is known as Midtown. Here, crime is declining and an urban renewal is happening. Here, all the money and all the investment is being focused. Unfortunately, Midtown is only 10 square miles of Detroit's 130 square miles total. The second Detroit is known as the neighborhoods. According to the website Real Clear Policy, the neighborhoods is a place where vacant homes line every block. Crime continues to increase, and outdoor civic life has been hijacked by the constant threat of fear. Maureen Taylor of the People's Water Board Coalition has been fighting for Detroit since the 1990s. In an interview, she speaks of the pain her neighborhood faces. She says, "Someone got shot over there the other night. A 3-year-old little girl got shot. Her mama was shot, her father was shot. I don't know what it is. Every night, every morning, we wake up, and there's pure war here." So where did this division begin? How is it possible that a small area controlled by billionaires can prosper while the rest of the city rots? How could policymakers have so utterly failed Detroit? The answer is simple, as famous Watergate journalists Woodward and Bernstein discovered 40 years ago. Follow the money. Hundreds of millions of Detroit's tax dollars could have been used to improve the lives of residents. Instead, that money went to projects that made rich people even richer. According to a New York Times investigation, 30% of our tax dollars goes to private subsidies for corporations. That's 30 cents of every dollar going to corporations when it could be going to roads, schools, and neighborhoods. This misuse of tax dollars is the root of our problems. Take, for example, the tax subsidy given to Marathon Petroleum, the fourth largest fuel refinery in America. Recently, Marathon was given $175 million to improve their facilities in Detroit. So you might be thinking, that created a ton of new jobs for residents. That money created 15 jobs. That's all 15 jobs for $175 million in tax dollars. This is just one of many crippling examples of big breaks given to corporations while the rest of Detroit watches from the sidelines. Another example of a misuse of tax dollars is the new arena being built to house Mike Ilitch's Detroit Red Wings, the 8th most successful franchise in the NHL. 1 week after Detroit declared bankruptcy, the Ilitch organization received a public subsidy of $285.4 million. That's 60% of the total cost being funded by taxpayers. And the Red Wings will lease the land from the city for nothing. That's right, rent-free. And under this new contract, the Ilitches will keep all revenue from souvenirs and parking. According to the Detroit Free Press, under the old Joe Louis deal, the city made $7 million from those sales. And the benefit to Detroit residents? According to economist Andrew Zimbalist's independent studies have uniformly found there is no positive correlation between sports facility construction and economic development. So Mr. Ilitch gets richer while the rest of Detroit gets very little. Detroit native Yolanda Jack said it best. Poverty is not a black or white thing. It's a people thing. It's a Detroit thing. But you might ask yourself, won't that new downtown rail project help native Detroiters gain access to job opportunities? Sadly, no. The M1 rail was first proposed as a much-needed public transit system to connect Detroit's northern suburbs to its core. This has now been abandoned in favor of a mini 3-mile rail connecting Gilbert and Ilitch's empires. Even the M1 rail's biggest backers realize that it only benefits those who already have a stake in it, rather than those in the neighborhoods nearby. Sue Mosey, head of Midtown Detroit Incorporated, who worked closely with Dan Gilbert on this project, says, "It is not the responsibility of M1 to do the public sector jobs. Our jobs are not to solve everybody else's problems in the city." Detroit can be helped if it uses its resources on infrastructure and neighborhoods instead of on special projects for billionaires. For example, statistics show when New York focused its tax dollars in increasing police and neighborhoods, violent crime declined by 56%. We can duplicate these results. Detroit has made some inroads in increasing the relationship between police and citizens, and home invasions have gone down by 23%. Although there are some steps being taken in Detroit, for there to truly be a difference, we must use our tax dollars in efforts across the whole city, in both Detroits. And we must invest in the public education system. In mid-March, Mayor Duggan took a first step. He announced that all Detroit high school graduates will receive 2 free years of community college. This provides far more benefit to the city than corporate welfare. According to the Economic Policy Institute, providing access to high-quality education will not only expand economic opportunities for residents, but will also do more to strengthen the overall state economy. So a strong Detroit means a strong Michigan. The roadmap for success exists in other cities besides New York. San Antonio devoted tax dollars to redevelop underused buildings and increase business recruitment. San Antonio Councilman David Medina says, "Their inner-city redevelopment plan policy is a great economic tool to provide access to better education and grow opportunities in San Antonio." Success is achievable if we take the right path. Dan Gilbert and Mike Ilitch are not bad people. They just are not truly aware of the power they hold in Detroit and how much more they can do for everyone in the city, not just the wealthy. if our state, county, and local officials combine with the wealth and resources of these men, Detroit can truly rise from the ashes. When people ask me about my city, about our pulse, I say, it is beating. We are breathing, dreaming of creating something new. When a seed is planted, nothing can stop it from growing, from becoming blue-collar flowers.
Annie Cohen was born in 1919 and was not quite the perfect baby girl her parents had hoped to welcome into their family. Her right leg wasn't right at all. It would never let her run and keep up with other kids. She was different, and in the early 1900s, different meant shameful. Her parents tried to seek help for her, but doctors were of little support. Annie's parents learned to keep her out of the public eye, as if she did not exist. When Annie became an adult, what would become of her? In 1940, the solution was to remove a person like Annie from society, send her to an insane asylum. Now, I have to tell you that Annie is a real person who grew up in Michigan, and that insane asylum was just miles away from the city of Detroit. This complex was known as Eloise. For more than 30 years, it served as Annie's home. Today, we will travel back in time to explore the history of Eloise. We will meet some of the people and get a glimpse of how they lived, and finally, we will learn about Eloise today. Insane asylums like Eloise don't exist anymore. They have been replaced by psychiatric hospitals, but in the 19th and 20th centuries, asylums were a permanent solution to housing the mentally unstable. The field of psychiatry was in its infancy, so according to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, asylums became a place to hide people that doctors did not know how to care for. In Michigan, 6 asylums existed at one point or another. The largest of these was Eloise, and it became the largest asylum in the country. So let's take a step back in time to explore the history of Eloise. Author Alvin Clark explains in his historical novel about Eloise that in 1839, Wayne County paid just $800 for a 930-acre farm in what is now known as Westland. 35 homeless people lived on the property called the Wayne County Poorhouse. At the poorhouse, the young, the old, the criminals, and the criminally insane were all housed together, divided only by gender. In 1841, those determined to be legally insane came to the poorhouse. After that, the poorhouse grew quickly, becoming as self-sufficient as any small city, complete with its own police and fire department, power facilities, church, and cemetery. Wayne County historical records reveal that in 1848, patients from a failed psychiatric facility in Kalamazoo joined the poorhouse, and it was bursting at the seams. So a separate building was constructed on the property called the Wayne County Asylum. For the first time, management of the facility was finally put in the hands of a physician. By 1873, the property had grown to the point that a U.S. post office was established, and the property was officially renamed Eloise, after this 5-year-old daughter of the Postmaster General. By the 1930s, census documents show that there were 78 buildings, and by the mid-50s, the population exceeded 10,000. World War II initiated a change in social attitude, as journalists began to compare asylums like Eloise to concentration camps. The American Psychiatric Association acknowledged the problem of institutionalizing chronic mental patients without treating them. It became apparent to medical professionals and government that prisons, housing for the homeless, and places of treatment for the insane were not one and the same. Despite the movement, Eloise didn't close until 1984, when patients were relocated to other facilities. The website Portraits of Eloise reveals that the residents were as colorful as its history. Huey Cannon, best known for composing a Won't You Come Home, Bill Bailey, was committed to Eloise when his psychiatric demons got the best of him, and he lived there from age 36 until his death at age 78. And there was inventor Elijah McCoy, who was responsible for 57 patents, including the ironing board, the lawn sprinkler, and McCoy oil. You may have heard the saying, the real McCoy. It refers to industrial workers who used the phrase to ask if the oil in industrial machines was in fact the real McCoy oil. he was committed to Eloise because of senile dementia and died there in the mid-1890s. But too many more Eloise residents were dumped there and became society's ghosts. This sad fact is illustrated on the Portraits website, which reprinted the obituary of Mary Walters, known as the Silent Old Woman who died there in 1909. It concludes with, "Nobody seems to know if Mary Walters knew anyone who could buy her a casket and an oblong space in the cemetery. If nobody answers the call, old Mary Walters will rest in the potter's field." While historical documents like this recount the deaths at Eloise, they also share details of what life was like at the asylum. Beds were 3 feet apart, and there was no privacy. So-called crazies were segregated by chained wrists and ankles. Even in 1878, the Detroit Lancet, Detroit's medical journal at the time, reprimanded Eloise for sickening circumstances of inhumanity. Electroshock therapy was widespread and often did more harm than good. Patients intended to be admitted as temporary were simply lost in the system and never discharged, spending the remainder of their lives at Eloise. However, improvements happened over time and positive medical advancements were made at Eloise. After Dr. Willem Kolff pioneered kidney dialysis, it was brought to Eloise, which housed the first kidney dialysis unit in the state of Michigan. And according to Wolf Baldessaro's website, Asylum Projects, Eloise was the very first place to introduce psychiatric patients to the field of music therapy, helping to increase communication abilities and helping to maintain emotional stability. Today, the 930-acre property is mostly in disrepair. Nonetheless, Eloise is a tourist attraction of sorts, and many consider it haunted, fascinated by the graveyard with its marked and unmarked plots. Groups such as Friends of Eloise and the Detroit Society for Genealogical Research are dedicated to archiving its sparse records, giving names to the people within the walls and identifying the graves of those who died there. In spring 2016, look for a movie about Eloise by director Robert Legato, who won Oscars for the movies Titanic, Star Trek, and Hugo. And if you are especially drawn to this property, it can be yours for $1.5 million. The Detroit Free Press reported that the city posted a portion of the land for sale in November of 2015. Today, we have seen how Eloise is part of an era when there was not enough science to understand how to treat people who were born with challenges beyond the norm. Eloise may have been the only option for Annie Cohen's family, but the rich history and startling tale of Eloise spurred reforms that give those with physical challenges and mental illness a chance at what Annie did not have, a safe and fulfilling life.
A moment on the lips is a lifetime on the hips, and don't let cake take control or you'll look like a cinnamon roll. With phrases like this, it feels like we can't go a day without hearing about our food consumption. Plant-based diet this and green juice that. But it feels like you would need to read a book or take a seminar to fully understand how to eat like that, and really, who has the time? Isn't there a simple and inexpensive way we can feel better about what we're putting into our bodies? There is. As close as your local grocery, you can find Mama Chia, the first organic chia-based food and beverage company. They use chia seeds, the tiny superfood, to provide a powerful and nutritious punch, found far beyond that in any other so-called healthy drink or smoothie. Mama Chia blends the tiny chia seeds with tasty organic juices and is lightly sweetened with just a pinch of the sweet agave sugar. So when drinking Mama Chia, you're not only feeding your body, you're feeding your soul. Today, we will be planting the history of Mama Chia, checking on how amazing Mama Chia products really are, drinking up on how Mama Chia soils the competition, and lastly, we will see how by drinking Mama Chia, we're not only feeding our bodies, we're feeding a greener and happier community. Mama Chia was created on a small farm in San Diego by Mama Chia founder and CEO Janine Hoffman. She discovered that the tiny chia seed was doing wonders for her vitality, energy, and strength. In 2009, in Bondsville, California, Janine founded Mama Chia, the first organic chia-based food and beverage company. From there, Mama Chia took off. In 2011, it was awarded the best non-carbonated beverage by the BevNet, which is the top recognized authority for the beverage industry. In the following June of 2013, Mama Chia established retailers online and in Canada. Since then, they have also been featured in The Daily Buzz, where they were named the must-have superfood of 2014, and Mama Chia was even featured in Oprah Winfrey's The O magazine, where it was named the trend to try. Mama Chia has also been featured in Access Hollywood, Fox News, Fox Business, and even the Huffington Post, along with many other news outlets. And no, you don't need to go to some fancy food store to find Mama Chia. It can be a part of your regular diet when you go to stores like Target, Costco, or even Whole Foods. But what is a chia seed? Chia is a tiny dark seed native to Mexico and Guatemala that grows in a small flowering plant. Despite chia's tiny size, it is packed full of nutrients and antioxidants, including magnesium, zinc, iron, and even calcium. But that's not all. Chia seeds are known for making you feel full and satisfied. Legend has it that Aztec warriors could go an entire day with just a teaspoon of chia seeds. Mama Chia products also promote weight loss and increase bone density. They help with exercise performance and even decrease the risk of many serious and even fatal diseases, including heart disease and type 2 diabetes. In a recent study with chia seeds, several diabetic patients showed a notable decrease in systemic inflammation and overall blood pressure. But how can something so nutritious also be delicious? The answer is Mama Chia. Mama Chia delivers in the yummy department with an intense yet refreshing natural taste, as well as a palate-pleasing texture, guaranteed to tingle your taste buds. Mama Chia comes in a large variety of different flavors, including coconut mango, green power, and my personal favorite, cherry lime. Mama Chia also provides customers with different beverage types, including vitality and green juices, which are the perfect add-on to any school or work lunch, as well as clean energy drinks, which are the perfect boost you need in the middle of a hectic day. Mama Chia also provides customers with different snack types, including vitality bars, chia clusters, and of course, the chia seed on its own, which is a great add-on to any breakfast, lunch, or alone creates a great midday snack. Mama Chia products are 100% organic and contain no GMOs, and they exclude things like dairy, soy, and they are also vegan, making them available to an even wider group of consumers. And you can take Mama Chia with you wherever you may please, because Mama Chia requires no refrigeration. Speaking of refrigeration, let's see how the cool, refreshing taste of Mama Chia chills over the competition. In the category of price, Mama Chia will not swallow your wallet like the other brands. You can pick up a bottle of Mama Chia for only $2.99 at your local Target or Costco, where a similar beverage from the brand Suja, a so-called healthy beverage company, costs customers a whopping $3.99 per bottle, and where you may find a Naked product for 20 cents less, what you save in money, you lose in nutrition. Naked uses words like sustainability, green, and power. However, the product does not live up to the label. Naked's 320 calories are much over double the amount found in a Mama Chia beverage. Suja, on the other hand, is 220 calories, 20 grams of carbohydrates, and a whopping 44 grams of pure fructose sugar, which is far shorter than the nutritional content of Mama Chia, which contains only 120 calories, 20 grams of carbohydrates, and only 14 grams of pure agave sugar. Mama Chia also provides customers with a larger variety of different beverage types and flavors, as well as 3 different snacks, where Suja and Naked provide customers with a limited beverage option and no snacks whatsoever. So next time you're looking for a snack or a beverage that's nutritionally superior and tastes great, you can slam the refrigerator door on the competition, now that you've seen why Mama Chia is clearly superior. Now that we've seen how Mama Chia bottles up the competition, let's see how they help the community. In 2013, Mama Chia supported a local leader in the food movement, helping the movement of growing healthier foods closer to home. Mama Chia is also a supporter of the Whole Planet Foundation, an organization founded by Whole Foods Market, that helps provide grants to places in Africa, Asia, the Americas, and even the Middle East to help the poor and unemployed with financial services and training. So next time you're considering picking up a bottle of Mama Chia, know you're not only helping your own health, you're helping the health and welfare of people around the world. Mama Chia has revolutionized the beverage industry in more ways than one, and it has helped create a greener and happier community. So next time you're looking for a beverage or a snack that's nutritionally superior and tastes great, pick up a bottle of Mama Chia, the drink with the tiny seed that packs a powerful punch.
En el año pasado yo fui a Vermont y solamente hablé español por un mes. Fue el mejor verano en toda vida. Oh, sorry. I was just telling you about the summer I spent at a Spanish language immersion program in Vermont. This was an amazing opportunity to learn, think, and speak in another language. Unfortunately, my passion for language learning is not shared by most Americans. Although there are about 6,500 languages in the world, the typical U.S. citizen can only speak one. In our global society, it is becoming increasingly difficult to function without the skill to communicate with most of the world's population. Today, we will discuss America's immense and growing language deficit, how our education and government systems have impacted it, and what we can do on an individual and national level to remedy this weakness in our society. America's negative attitude toward language education has led us to lose out on cognitive skills that bilingual students from other countries are benefiting from. A Florida study showed that bilingual students scored 23 to 34 points higher on the math and reading portions of a standardized test. According to the National Medical Library, people who know more than one language are able to pay attention for 20% longer than their one language speaking counterparts. Putting language learning on the back burner has only disadvantaged U.S. citizens. In the U.S., only 11 states require foreign language credit in high schools. As a result, just 18% of citizens are multilingual. Americans assume everyone can speak their primary and only language, English. But this is so far from the truth. English is the third most spoken language in the world, falling behind Chinese and Hindi. Marty Abbott, Executive Director of the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, states that it is a fundamentally different world now, and it's time for Americans to wake up, because English is not necessarily the lingua franca when you leave the U.S. Bilingualism is a crucial trait that today's employers expect. With technology like smartphones, clients from all over the world are just a click away. The lack of American multilinguists makes it harder for U.S. citizens to find employment. Kirsten Brecht-Baker, the founder of Global Professional Search, claims that Americans are in danger of needing to import human capital because insufficient time or dollars are being invested in language education domestically. As high-paying jobs become increasingly global and competitive, Americans are struggling to keep up. U.S. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan declared that to prosper economically and to improve relations with other countries, Americans need to read, speak, and understand other languages. If we do not make an effort to learn the languages that the rest of the world is speaking, we will continue to lag behind our international counterparts. The percent of multilingualism in Europe is 3 times that of Americans. In countries such as Luxembourg, all citizens are multilingual, and the majority can speak 4 languages. Nigel Vincent from the British Academy stated that by sitting on our linguistic laurels, we disadvantage the U.S. Young people from other countries could now offer fluency in English, plus their native language. They are ahead of the game. The reason for much of the language deficit in America is the education system. Foreign language courses are not treated as core classes like math and science. Many districts simply don't have the funds or cannot find a teacher for the class. Additionally, the standards for foreign languages are very low. America lacks a national and oftentimes state-level language learning standard. Some of the states that do demand foreign language credit suggest that they be completed before high school begins. We wouldn't stop math after middle school, So why should we stop Spanish? According to the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, only 18.5% of elementary and secondary schools offered foreign language classes. The lack of enthusiasm toward foreign languages reflects poorly on students. Only 7% of college students are enrolled in language courses, and only 1% of American adults can speak the language they were taught in the classroom. While science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM programs have become more popular in recent years, foreign language programs have not. Learning a second language actually enhances creativity, problem solving, and math skills. The same things that STEM classes focus on. Many people believe that the foreign language programs at school are a waste of time. The languages are taught slowly, and typically students don't reach fluency. The lack of visual progress does not encourage administrators to keep programs running. The problem also resides in our government. Our last bilingual president was FDR. Many citizens assume that if our nation's highest leader doesn't speak another language, why should they? Many Americans even criticize political leaders for being bilingual. Presidential candidates John Kerry and Mitt Romney were both attacked for their linguistic abilities. Author and historian Dr. Gordon Chang hypothesizes that the United States became very powerful after the Second World War, and Americans didn't need to learn another language. Other countries needed to learn English. This mindset is no longer acceptable, as our connection to other countries has become closer. Yet, our government continues to hold a double standard about language learning. It is now required for CIA agents and employees of other government programs to be multilingual. Our government depends on multilinguists to carry out their most complicated and important operations. Yet, they refuse to teach their citizens this necessary skill. By 2050, 1 in 5 Americans will be an immigrant. Although we view our country as a cultural melting pot, our government continues to look at international and domestic problems through an ethnocentric lens. The lack of foreign language education in the United States has become a larger problem than anyone expected it to be. Fortunately, there are many solutions. The first step is to make foreign language a required class all 4 years of high school. If we treat foreign languages like math, students will be more encouraged to take it seriously. Many people have also taken other routes to dramatically improve their language skills. The first is dual language learning schools. At these institutions, students are taught all of their classes in their primary and secondary language, starting from a very young age. For example, a student might have math and science in Spanish one day, and in English the next. This effectively immerses them in the language. These programs are especially popular in elementary schools, as young children typically learn languages quickly. Another is language immersion. Many students choose to spend a semester or summer, as I did, specifically studying a foreign language. When forced to speak their target language in order to communicate, students' conversational skills improve quickly. Another great way to improve language skills is to become a foreign exchange student or sign up to become a host family. The constant exposure to the language and culture is a quick and easy way to learn. Computer-based foreign language networks are another great option. Programs such as Babbel and Rosetta Stone are easily accessible, fairly inexpensive, and offer a multitude of languages for any level. Lastly, the United States needs to adopt a national policy on foreign language education. Change is necessary, and the time is now. Today, we discussed America's immense and growing language deficit, how our education and government systems have impacted it, and what we can do on an individual and national level to remedy this weakness in our society. It's time to change our attitude toward language education. As global communication becomes easier, the need for multilinguists will grow. Aprender un segundo idioma es la contesta, no es una opción. Learning a second language is the answer, not an option. Gracias.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rufus T. Firefly. I'm a diplomat of sorts in the nation of Fredonia.
Fredonia!
Hail, Fredonia! Pa! Now, I'm about to meet with the First Lady, Miss Teasdale. One thing you should know about Miss Teasdale...
Rufus, it's just horrible. He's dead.
Who's dead, Mrs. Teasdale?
Oh, my husband.
Your husband? Oh, that's terrible. The dictator of Fredonia is dead. Hail, Fredonia! Pa! Oh, that is just too bad.
Oh, Mr. Firefly, I have absolutely no idea what I'm to do with myself now that my husband is gone.
Oh, will you marry me? Did he leave you any money? Will you answer the second question first, please?
Oh, Mr. Firefly, as the dictator's surviving widow, I am to name his replacement, and I'm naming you.
What?
Well, yes, of course. You're a most gifted statesman.
Thank you.
I believe you would make a fine dictator.
Mrs. Teasdale, I don't know what to say.
Congratulations, Your Excellency. Promise me you'll follow in my husband's footsteps.
Well, what's the worst that could happen?
Well, we're $20 million in debt.
Oh.
You are to meet with the ambassador of Sylvania now. Try not to start a war.
Ambassador Trentino, but I despise Ambassador Trentino. He's the most condescending ever. Ambassador Trentino, oh, it is so good to see you.
Your Excellency, I bring you the greetings of my president and the goodwill of my people.
You. Well, I'll take the greetings, but you can keep the goodwill. You see, what we need right now is $20 million.
Well, no, you see, we cannot just be throwing that kind of money around at such desperate people.
Are you calling me a beggar?
Well, not calling you a beggar. Oh, Mr. Firefly, if this kind of diplomacy is to continue, I can see no other action between our countries but war.
War?
War!
Well, fine then, there shall be war. What was it that Miss Teasdale wanted me to do again?
Try not to start
I'm sure it was nothing.
Beneath the facade of insanity and hilarity comes a story with far-reaching implications.
Join the lovable,
kind,
fascist,
what?
Family-friendly dictator Rufus T. Firefly. In this commentary on the absurdity of unnecessary war,
mismanaged government,
and corrupt judiciary systems, Duck Soup, screenplay by Arthur Schmeckel.
How dare that man strike me in my face? Where are my spies? Ciccolini, Pinky, have you been trailing Mr. Firefly as I ordered? Have we been trailing Mr. Firefly? Well, my partner here's got a nose like a bloodhound. And the rest of his face don't look too good neither. Okay, here's what we did. On Monday we go to Firefly's house, but he no come out. He wasn't home. On Tuesday we go to the ball game, but he fool us. He no show up. On Wednesday he go to the ball game, but we fool him. We no show up. On Thursday it was a double header. Nobody showed up. And on Friday it rained all day. There was no ball game, so we just stayed home and we listened to the radio. Oh, you did great, Pinky. You complete idiots! If I'm ever going to overthrow Dictator Firefly, I need to take more drastic measures. Pinky. No. Ciccolini. I want you to infiltrate the dictator's office and find me something I can work with. Ladies and gentlemen, your dictator, Rufus T. Firefly.
All right, gentlemen, this is my first cabinet meeting, so...
Hello, Mr. Firefly.
Hello, then. Who might you be?
Well, my name is Ciccolini. I'm a traveler.
Ooh, a worldly man. Well, where were you born?
Oh, well, I don't remember. You see, I was just a little baby when it happened.
Ah, a simple man. I need more simple men working for me. Say, how would you like a job?
Well, what the job?
Well, I believe there's an opening for Secretary of War. How'd you like to be Secretary of War?
I'll take it.
Splendid. Your first task will be helping me regain the respect of my cabinet. They don't seem to like me.
Oh, well, you've got to be a great dictator. All it takes is 3 easy steps. Step 1, you've got to be strong. If anybody crosses you, you just line them up against the wall, and a pop goes the weasel.
Wait, what?
Step 2, you've got to make a grand speeches. Make your people love you. Or else they may kill you.
What was that last part now?
And step 3, you've got to win a war.
War? What would you know about war?
Well, I'm your Secretary of War, remember?
That's right. Well, a war would cause a significant hike in our taxes.
Hey, I've got an uncle that lives in Texas.
No. Taxes, money, dollars.
Yeah, that's where he's from. Dollars, taxes.
Splendid. Well, we've got to start a war. How do we start a war?
Oh, well, sure. That's easy. First, you've got to insult somebody from another country.
Well, then who can we insult? Oh, Ambassador Trentino!
Ambassador Trentino!
Yeah, he already hates me. Oh, this is brilliant.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. He wants to meet with you soon to restore the relations. When he does, you say something that'll make him strike you. Really hard. Right in the face. And then a bingo bango, you've got yourself a war. Okay. Trentinos are gonna walk in, and then you're gonna offer him your hand.
Then what?
And then he's gonna shake your hand.
Right. Can you imagine if he didn't?
Well, why would he not
A
shake
fine
your
thing
hand?
that would be, me, the leader of a
Speaking
nation,
to Firefly,
snubbed of a
of course
handshake
he's
by
gonna
some
shake your
foreign
hand.
ambassador. Who does he think he is that he can come in here and make a sap out of me in my homeland? He'll never get away with it, I tell you. He'll never get
Good
away with
afternoon,
it.
Mr.
So, you refuse to shake my hand, eh?
Oh, Mr. Firefly, I'll teach you to slap me!
Oh, you don't have to teach me, I just did.
This is the last straw, Firefly. This means war!
Well, fine then, there shall be war.
Well,
Stupid
so, well, how did it go?
It went pretty good.
Pretty good!
Yeah.
That's great. So, is there gonna be a war?
You bet there's gonna be a war. I need to make a formal declaration.
Well, what are you gonna say?
I don't know. Woo! With this signature,
Ding.
yay! I, Rufus T. Firefly, Dictator of Fredonia.
Hell for...
Now, hereby declare war on the nation of Sylvania. Here you are.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. To the brave men fighting for our glory, we salute you. Here you are again.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Go and break through the lines. And remember, we're after risking life and limb through shot and shell. We shall be in here, laughing at what a sucker you are.
No, Hail Fredonia.
I mean, Hail Fredonia.
Hail Fredonia!
Pa! Meanwhile, at Ambassador Trentino's residence.
General!
Yes?
I need you to get a message to my spy, Ciccolini, for me.
Yes!
Do you know my spy, Ciccolini?
No.
My spy in Rufus T. Firefly's cabinet.
No.
My spy posing as the Secretary of War.
Yes!
That's the one.
All right.
I need you to tell Ciccolini
Yes.
that he needs to get me
Go on.
Fredonia's war plans.
War plans.
And if Dictator Firefly gets in the way,
Uh-huh.
Ciccolini must eliminate him.
Oh dear, I'll tell him right away. Shh, 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 shh. Ciccolini?
Ah,
Are you Mr. Ciccolini, the ambassador spy and Rufus T. Firefly's cabinet?
Yes, that's me. Could you please keep it down?
Okay. The ambassador has told me to tell you that you must obtain Firefly's war plans, at all costs.
But what if you won't let me?
And then you are to eliminate Mr. Firefly.
Hey, I could have used one of those.
A what?
Eliminate, a nice cold glass of lemonade.
No, but seriously, kill him. Bye for now.
Shh, but I can't kill him. He's my friend.
Ah, Ciccolini, my good man, I thought you should have a look at these.
But the Dictator Firefly, these are your war plans.
Yes, my war plans.
Your Excellency, you should not be showing me these. You need to call off the war. Ambassador Trentino means to kill you.
Where are you getting this information?
I am working for him. Trentino hired me to find information on you, but Your Excellency, I couldn't no longer.
You're a spy.
No.
A traitor. Ciccolini, I trusted you.
Your Excellency, I am sorry, but if you would just let me explain.
No! I will hear no more of this. Guards! Take Mr. Ciccolini away. Shh, shh, shh. Dun, dun. Oh, we are gathered here today for the trial of Mr. Ciccolini. He is charged with high treason against the state of Fredonia. Mr. Ciccolini, if you are found guilty, you will be shot.
I object.
And why do you object?
Well, I could not think of anything else to say.
Okay.
But, Your Honor, I know I've made terrible mistakes, but I will forever be loyal to Mr. Rufus T. Firefly. He is... Well, he was my friend.
Stop!
Mr. Firefly!
Gentlemen, this man's case moves me deeply. Look at Ciccolini. He sits here alone, amongst a sea of unfriendly faces. Ciccolini, give me a number from 1 to 10.
11. Did I do good, boss?
You see, Ciccolini here may talk like an idiot and look like an idiot, but don't let that fool you. He really is an idiot. But of all the idiots in the world, this one gave me something the others in my cabinet could not. A respect and admiration, and that goes far beyond any alliance with a foreign nation. I move we find Mr. Ciccolini not guilty.
Hey, thanks, boss.
Don't mention it. Oh, Ciccolini, we must end this war. What do we do?
I forgot it. All we need to do is meet with Trentino and make peace. He can't kill you if you don't want the war.
All right, I suppose I will.
Okay, I'll go call him now. Don't do anything too crazy.
Wait. Thank you, Ciccolini.
So, Dictator Firefly, I hear you want to make peace.
I do, Ambassador. I know we've had bad blood in the past, but I say we make that water under the bridge.
I would say the bridge had probably broken and fallen into the sea before now.
Are you calling me fat?
No, Your Excellency, I'm not calling you fat! Oh, wash!
Oh, dear. Ciccolini?
Yes.
What now?
Freeze, Mr. Freeze.
Freeze.
Okay, we can stop now.
Okay.
All right, Tommy, it's bedtime. Well, Lola, maybe he can stay up just this once. Young man, it is bedtime. Your father has no power here. I do not care if it is Friday night.
No, we're not going anywhere. No, we're not doing anything. We're parents. We don't do anything on the weekends. Come on now.
Barry, that's not entirely true. We're very exciting people.
We used to be exciting.
Yes, Barry, what happened to us? Well, sweetheart, when a man and a woman love each other very much and they have a baby together, they cease to be interesting after that point. Whatever fun or excitement they've had in their past lives dies. And that's mostly your fault. All right, Tommy, up to bed.
Oh, we used to be very exciting indeed. I could tell you the story of how we met.
Barry, don't you think Tommy here is a little bit too young for that story?
Have you ever heard of a story that just doesn't line up? I mean, come on, in this story there's dangerous thugs, spiteful beauty queens, deranged foreign exchange students, and wait a second. That's not how I remember it. By Don Zlitus. The year was 1986. Seniors in high school, I had just recently purchased my 1979 Trans Am Fire Red like the kind Jesus would drive. And then Tommy, that's when I saw your mother. Hey.
Hey there.
Do you go to school here?
That depends.
On what?
On whether or not you want to give me a ride in that Trans Am of yours.
Gas mileage. It's terrible, it can't take us far.
We don't have to go far.
All right, but I warn you. I don't fall in love. I'm dangerous.
Oh no, a gang of thugs!
We are a gang of thugs, give us all your money. We also plan on making rude comments about you. No one can stop us. Not the police, not the army, not nobody. That's enough, gang of thugs. Oh yeah, what you gonna do about it? What am I not gonna do about it? You're not gonna do nothing. What you gonna do? First of all, it's about time for a little bit of respect for the English language. And second of all, I so happen to have a black belt in karate. What a coincidence. We also happen to have a black belt in karate. Cobra Kai school? Oh yeah. Ha, 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 hee. Go handsome stranger. Hee, ha. Now get out of here, thugs. All right, man, you win this round. Your moves are too awesome for us to comprehend, man. But we'll be back, and we'll duel, let's ride.
Whoa, hold on.
What?
That's not how it happened at all.
That's how I remember it.
Okay, yeah, Barry, let me try to get this straight. You defeated a gang of thugs in a karate battle.
Yeah, it happened a lot. And it's pronounced karate.
Okay, yeah. Tommy, dear, your father has clearly lost his memory. That's not how it happened at all. It actually went a little bit something like this. It was just after second period, biology. Okay, guys, see you later. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
I'm hurt. I'm injured. My collarbone has shattered. I have very weak bones.
I'm sorry, I just bumped into you. Are you gonna be okay?
I think I just need a little bit of help getting up. That's all. You touched me. Just like you touched my heart.
You know what? I'm not really in the mood for this right now. My parents have just taken in a foreign exchange student named Jan, and he's following me everywhere.
I was wondering where you had gone to, Lola.
Just trying to live my life, Jan.
Is it time to take me to happening American parties now? That will give me more time to stare at your beautiful hips.
No. You know what's funny? I actually happen to be busy tonight. Yeah, I'm going with
Barry?
Barry! my boyfriend! Barry, I am going with him. I'm sorry.
When did we start going out?
Oh, you jokester. We've been going out for a very long time now. Remember, Barry?
Oh, yeah. Now I remember that we are dating and we are in love. And so tender with each other.
Maybe we can spare you on the details. Just pick me up at 8.
Whoa, no way. That's not how it happened.
Yes, it is. You staged those little falls for attention.
No, what really happened was after I defeated the gang of thugs.
And we went to the party.
Yes, That I agree with. We went to the party at Martin's house.
Thank you. And it went a little bit something like this. Whoa, nice party. Wanna dance?
Okay! I like your dance moves.
Thanks.
They remind me of a beautiful bird that's come crashing to earth.
Thanks. And you remind me of a spaceman.
Yep.
Who's just fallen out of his spaceship and his arms are on fire.
Awesome.
Trisica, what do you want? I feel really bad for you. I mean, first you have to look like this, and then you're dating that? There's nothing wrong with Barry. I mean, he has a few issues, but not more than any other guy. You know what? We're trying to maintain a level of coolness here, so if you could take it outside, or maybe into a locked room, that would be awesome.
You know what, Trisica? So what if we like to dance? You guys are free to have your no dance party over there, but me and this girl are gonna bust a groove over here. Ho, ho, and Trisica, your hair looks like a termite mound, okay? Like that just got eaten by a dinosaur and then vomited up and put back on your head. Ah! Well,
Go ahead, say it. I'm insane.
no. I mean, I do remember waking up in a hospital.
Thank you.
Where am I?
You're in the hospital.
Did I win?
No. You got your butt kicked, but I thought it was sweet. You know, you getting knocked unconscious for me. Do you want to go out with me? Like for real?
You mean it?
Yeah. The way you ran around the party squealing like a little girl convinced me that you aren't into the macho delusions. You're a real man.
I do remember that! And your dad threatened my life. He never liked me.
No, not even a little bit.
See, our stories match up. All right, young Tommy, if you're good tomorrow, we'll tell you about our wedding.
When he fainted.
When the volcano hit. What?
Bucky! Connie! Just don't let go! I won't, Bucky! I won't! Hang on, brother! Buck! Buck! Bucky, where are you?
16-year-old Conrad Jarrett loses his older brother Buck in a boating accident, and afterwards his typical suburban family are no longer ordinary people. The Academy Award-winning film, screenplay by Alvin Sargent.
No!
Yeah? Son, are you okay? Trouble sleeping? No? Okay, well, listen. The month's up, so I think we should stick to the plan and call that doctor. The plan was if I needed to call him, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, listen, don't worry about it, okay? And by the way, I am working on those Michigan State tickets. So, what do I do, Dr. Berger? Tell you my dreams? I want to know what is happening when you're awake. Come on, something's bugging you. You know, maybe I don't want to swim anymore. You know, the coach, he's got 2 guys that swim the 50. They're better than me. Huh. Have you ever thought about quitting? Are you telling me to? No. It wouldn't look good. Hey, Mom, can I help with that? Help what? Oh, you mean with this? No, but I'll tell you what you can do, though. You can go upstairs to that room of yours and clean out the closet. But Mom, okay? Because it really is a mess. Coach? Well, what do you want, Conrad? Well, why do you want to keep messing up your life? Coach, I don't think that quitting swimming will mess up my life. All right, but I'm not taking you back again. You'll remember that. I won't ask you to, sir. Calvin, did you know Conrad quit the swim team over a month ago? No. Why didn't you tell us, Connie? I don't know. I didn't really think it mattered. Why wouldn't it matter? Well, of course it matters. It's really important to try to hurt me, isn't it? Don't you have that backwards? Oh, and how do I hurt you? By embarrassing you in front of a friend? Oh, poor Beth. She has no idea what her son is up to. He lies and she believes every word of it. I didn't lie. You did. You lied every time you came into this house at 6:30. I will not stand for it. Well, don't then. Go back to Europe, Connie. Just stop it. No. You tell her to stop it. You never tell her a goddamn thing. And I know why she never came to see me in the hospital. No, she's too busy going to goddamn Spain and goddamn Portugal. How do you know she never came to see you, huh? You know, she came, but she had the flu, so she couldn't come inside, but she came. Oh, yeah? Well, she wouldn't have had any flu if Buck was in the hospital. Buck never would have been in the hospital. Okay, so everything was fine until you had to fight with your mother and everything was lousy. Yeah. So, what do I do now? Recognize her limitations. You know, there is someone beside your mother you've got to forgive. You mean me? For trying to off myself? Why don't you give yourself a break? Let yourself off the hook. Off the hook. I gotta get off the hook I gotta get off the hook. For what? For what I did. Don't you see? It's gotta be somebody's fault that there's no goddamn point. Point? What point? It happened. No, I don't mean that. It's just Bucky, I didn't mean it. You said get the sail down and I couldn't. It jammed. And then you say hang on and then you let go. Why did you let go? It hurts to be mad at him, doesn't it? Yeah, he just wasn't careful. We should have come in when it started to look bad. Okay, so you made a mistake. How long are you going to punish yourself? When are you going to quit? It's not that easy. God, I loved him. I'm scared. Feelings are scary. And sometimes they're painful. But if you can't feel pain, you're not going to feel anything else either. You know what I'm saying? I think so. You're here and you're alive. And don't tell me you don't feel that. It doesn't feel good. It is good. Believe me.
Conrad, your mother's going away for a while.
Why? I know why. It's me, isn't it? No, Connie, don't do that to yourself. You know, things happen in this world. People don't always have answers for them, you know.
I don't know why I'm shouting at you.
No, you're right. I mean, you know, you ought to do that more often. You know, get after me more the way you used to for him.
Oh, he needed it. You didn't.
You know, Dad, I always used to figure you had a handle on everything. Like, you always made us feel like everything was gonna be okay. And I thought about that a lot lately. I really admire you for it.
Well, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you sometimes.
I'm not disappointed. I love you, Dad.
I love you too, son.
Have you ever had a question you wanted to ask that one black person you know, but refrained because you didn't want to run the risk of sounding racist? Well, son of a gun, you're in luck, because nowadays, for a limited time only, you have access to your friendly neighborhood Ask a Black Dude. A melanin encyclopedia complete with the answers to questions that have boggled white minds for centuries. I mean, let's give it a try, shall we? As a young black man, I've experienced the ignorance that comes with stereotyping. In these 3 poems, Ask a Black Dude, Adrenaline Rush, and an open letter to black people in horror movies, these authors expose the humor and the pain that come when you judge people based upon their skin color. Why are black people, like, so good at basketball? Answer, we're not. There's no magical chromosome that LeBron James has that makes him genetically prone to run faster or jump higher than everyone else, but just think. If your best alternative stayed at the jail or the cemetery, you'd be shooting 1,000 jumpers a day too. Next question. Do black people hate like all white people? Well, of course we don't. We only hate people who perpetuate and refuse to acknowledge the history of social, cultural, political, and racial stereotypes placed against us. I mean, that they're white is just pure coincidence. Next question. Is it racist if I... Yes, next question. Why are black women so angry? This has multiple answers. 1, they are queens in a land where men take turns shitting on their throne. 2, her body is subject to your lust in private but never worth your love and respect in public. Or 3, she will raise her sons to become young tombstones. Pick one. This product, satisfaction guaranteed. You'll understand black culture in just 30 days. I mean, call now and receive your free bonus gift for Blackfish Afro Pick and a Kente cloth scarf. You'll be down in the struggle in no time. Call while supplies last. Disclaimer. The views, actions, and opinions given by this one African American male are not a direct reflection of black people everywhere. Results may vary. So there's this thing called volcano surfing. It's a sport where an individual rides down an active volcano using nothing but a wooden board. I mean, when I first heard about this activity, I thought to myself, it must be nice to feel so safe you have to invent new ways to put yourself in danger. See, I was about 18 the first time I started driving. The officer spilled his lights all over my rear view mirror, splashed out of the car with his hand already on his weapon, looked at me the way a tsunami looks at a beach house, and I could tell that he's the type of guy to bring a gun to a food fight. He called me son, and I thought to myself, that's an interesting way of pronouncing boy. He asked for my license. Registration, wants to know what I'm doing in this neighborhood, if my car was stolen, if I had any drugs, and most days, y'all, I know how to grab my voice. And I know how to swing it like a hammer, but instead, I picked it up like a shard of glass. Scared of what would happen if I didn't hold on to it carefully, because I know Like this much melanin in that uniform is a plot line to a film that could easily end in a chalk outline baptism. And me trying to make body bags look stylish for cameras. So one day, a friend of a friend asked me why there weren't more black people in the X Games, and I said, you don't get it. Being black is one of the most extreme sports in America. We don't have to invent new ways of risking our lives because the old ones have been doing it for decades. I mean, Jim Crow may have left the nest, but our streets are still filled in its feathers. Being black in America is knowing there's a thin line between a traffic stop and the cemetery. It's when my body tenses up when I hear a police siren in a song. It's the quiver in my stomach when there's a cop car behind me. It's the sigh of relief when I turn right and he doesn't. Being black in America is knowing that you aren't safe in a church, in a school, in a pool. Being black in America is knowing that you aren't safe in a hoodie, in a t-shirt, in a tuxedo. Hell, why would I go volcano surfing? I get an adrenaline rush every time an officer drives past without pulling me over. 'Cause then I realize I'm gonna make it home. This time. An open letter to black actors in horror movies. Yo, what are you doing? Why are you sitting there? Yeah, keep sitting there with a guy with a chainsaw right behind you. Like, no, why are you guys running? Yo. If that was me, this movie would have been over already. Son, if that was me, this movie would have been a commercial on Common Sense. Like, yo, I hear some weird noises out there. You want to go check it out? Hell no. Me either. End of movie. Roll the credits. On everything I love, Jason ain't about to catch me. Dude, if I see a man with a hockey mask and no goal behind him, I am out, son. If you're running, I'm running. But Freddy, he wants to creep up in my dreams and kill me. Man, listen, I'm a black man living in America, dealing with racial profiling. Stop and frisk and try not to step on a dude's fresh new pair of Timbs or Jordans. I mean, every day of my life is a horror flick. All I think about is surviving on a day-to-day basis, because where I'm from, the boogeyman wears a badge. And every street looks like the alleyway of a gun barrel. And racism is a ghost that outgrew white sheets for white collars. Now the actors in these roles might know my final scene before I do. You know, it's funny how black guys tend to become stage props when art imitates life. Funny how black girls die off stage when life imitates art. So we're not even safe in fantasies. All of which is to say, run, brother, the killer is right behind you. Yo, don't check on the white dude. His privilege will protect him. The credits are a finish line we don't get to cross, because all the actors that look like us catch a fade. All the actors that look like us fade away. Because all the actors that look like us just fade to black.
Punk Rock John introduced himself in my first show. He told me, "Kid, protect your teeth. Do not lick the walls, and don't piss off the crusties. If you get cut, let it bleed. You'll be fine." In Neil Hilborn's poems Punk Rock John and Joey, he examines the relationship between poverty and mental illness, how one can further exacerbate the other, but more importantly, how we can overcome our present struggles to fully realize who we will become. I was 15, thinking about unzipping my veins, but well, most kids would have done drugs or written a poem. I went to bars and basements and gave my best friends black eyes. For the first time in my life, I knew that when I fell, someone was gonna pick me back up. That first mosh pit was not a quiet conversation about suicide. It was Punk Rock John telling me, hey! Don't kill yourself. Why waste your unscarred knuckles? My rage bloomed. I mean, why hate myself when I can hate my parents? The radio, record stores, corporations, yuppies, my parents, beach days, volleyball, bottled water, and tiny fucking cupcakes. I mean, goddamn, if that first day of punk rock didn't sound like Buddy Holly played back, double time distorted, and compressed into 4 chords. The first time I saw Punk Rock John, he was halfway through a front flip stage dive, and he landed directly on me. He picked me up, dusted me off, and threw me back into the pit. Punk Rock John was 6'4". He had hands the size of kick drums, and he smelled like a 20-year rain. He was Noah. He was our shepherd. One time, I was getting ready to drop kick some metal kids, and John got me in a headlock and said, "Quit screwing around, Neil. You don't know who this kid is. You don't know who his friends are, and I ain't putting you out if they set you on fire." John taught us that the Church of Punk Rock was always open. And if you want to pray, then crank up the stereo until your ears bleed. If you want to pray, then grab your brothers and sisters and sing. Sing out of tune. Sing the wrong words. Just sing loud. But then some out-of-town skin dropped a guillotine knife blade into John's skull. The blood was pouring from his ears. He was dead before he hit the ground. John brought me into a world where I felt loved. And that world took him away. I buried my leather jacket, patched the holes in my jeans, and tried to pluck every memory like it was a cord out of my chest, but I still hear him. When the world is larger than I am, when my chest is a vice, I take that needle, I put it on the record, I crank it up till I can't hear shit, and I tell myself, as long as I have hands, I can still break something. As long as I can breathe, I can sing. As long as I can remember, I will hear him. He tells me, "Kid, you'll be fine." So 2 years later, I had a friend named Joey. Joey always told me, laughing, as though it were actually a joke, that he wanted to kill himself, but it was never the right time. There were always groceries to be bought or little brothers to be tucked in at night. Don't worry, Joey's not going to kill himself 20 more seconds into this poem. That's not the kind of story I'm going for here. Joey got a promotion and now he can afford antidepressants. Joey is Joe now. Joe is a cold engine in which none of the parts ever really complain. He is a brick that somebody made out of fossils. If money were out of the equation, Joey would have been painting elk on cave walls. People would have fed him and kept him away from high places because, god damn, would you look at those elk. We were 17. I drove us all to punk shows in a station wagon that was older than any of us. We were 17, and I bought lunch for Joey more often than I didn't. We were 17, and the one time Joey tried to talk to me about being depressed when someone else was around, I told him to shut the hell up and asked if he needed to change his tampon. You know that moment when the cartoon character realizes he's taken 3 steps off of the cliff. And he takes a long look over the audience like we're holding the last moving box in a half-empty house. Joey looked like that without the puff of smoke. He just played video games for half an hour and went home. One time I caught Joey in my dad's office staring at the safe where he knew we kept the guns. One time, Joey molded his car into the shape of a tree trunk and refused to give any real reason why. One time I caught Joey in biology class staring at a scalpel like he wanted to be the frog splayed out wide open, so honest. There is one difference between me and Joey. When we got arrested, bail money was waiting for me at the station. When I was hungry, I could eat. When I wanted to rip myself open and find out if there really were bees rattling around inside of me, my parents got me a therapist. I can pinpoint the session that brought me back to the world. It cost $75. $75 is not a week's worth of groceries. It's a month of bus fare. It's not even a school year's worth of new shoes. It took weeks of $75 to get to the one that saved my life. We both had parents that believed us when we said we weren't okay. Only mine could afford to do something about it. I wonder how many kids like Joey wanted to die and were unlucky enough to actually pull it off. How many kids had people who cared about them but also had to pay rent. I'm so lucky that right now I'm not describing a funeral. I'm so lucky that we all got to live through who we were to become who we are. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky.
The human brain comprises 2% of a person's total body weight, but it controls 100% of that body's actions. So in terms of how much territory my brain occupies versus how much power it wields, well, it is mightily powerful indeed. Particularly for me, Ellen Sachs, a schizophrenic. The Center Cannot Hold, My Journey Through Madness by Ellen Sachs. The road has not been easy. When I was about 8, I started to develop a few little quirks. Ellen, come on, we're gonna be late. I know, but I just have to do this one more little thing, and then everything will be okay. Not long after the little quirks became a part of my life, they were joined by nights filled with terror. I think there's been somebody outside my window. Do you think we should call a policeman? Bubby, there's nobody out there. It's in your imagination. Things got worse in college. Hey, Ellen, I need to ask your advice about something. Yeah, sure. What's up? Well, this is kind of awkward, actually. There's a girl here in the dorm who, kind of smells not very good. She really needs to take a shower once in a while. We're trying to decide what's the best thing to do. My gosh, that's a tough one. I think you should just straight out tell her. Yeah, I guess so. It didn't occur to me until much later that the girl in the dorm who needed to take a shower was, of course, me. For many of us, the first evidence of schizophrenia is a gradual deterioration of basic common sense hygiene. After graduation, I decided to earn my JD at Yale University's law school. One night, I was studying in the library with some of my classmates. Memos are visitations. They make certain points. The points on your head. Have you ever killed anyone? This is a joke, right? What are you talking about, Ellen? Oh, the usual heaven and hell, who's what's who. Hey, let's go out on the roof. This is the real me. Come to the Florida Sunshine Bush, where they make lemons, where they are demons. Hey, what's the matter with you guys? Did you see a ghost or something? 3 hours later, I checked in to the Yale New Haven Hospital. I am a piece of shit and I deserve to die. I am a piece of shit and I deserve to die. No, I don't belong in a hospital. I am not crazy. This isn't the right place for me. 8 months after that first hospitalization, when I had the vain hope for a quick fix, I checked back in for my second hospitalization. Officially one of those patients who had come back. The admission note summed up things pretty well. Thin, tall, chain-smoking, sad, inappropriate laughter at times, seems physically and mentally retarded. I hated myself. One of the doctors at the psych ward referred me to a psychoanalyst, Elizabeth Jones. You seem upset today, Ellen. Can you tell us how you're feeling? There's killing fields, heads exploding. I didn't do anything wrong. They just said quake, fake, lake. I used to ski. Are you trying to kill me? No, of course not. Have you thought any more about taking some of the medication? They're killing me! They're killing me! I've got to try, die, lie, cry. We want to get you some help, Ellen. People are controlling me. They're putting thoughts into my head. I can't resist them. They're making me walk around your office. I give life, and I take it away! The doctors kept arguing on behalf of antidepressants. What you have is not a fault of will, Ellen. It's biochemical. Untreated depressions can last a year or more. The meds will have you feeling better in a few weeks. These are not street drugs. They're a way to get better. The idea of putting a pill in my mouth disgusted me. Just as disgusting was the idea that I'd somehow become so weak of character that I needed a drug to get better. I'm not sick, I'm just bad. Then one day, something happened, and it changed my way of thinking. I looked into a mirror. It was the first time I'd actually seen myself in weeks. Holy shit! Who is that? I was scared of dying, but even more scared of what I saw in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was in some kind of terrible trouble. I vowed I'd do whatever I needed to do to get her out of this place in any way I possibly could. The choice seemed clear. Drugs or death. I chose to live. In our first therapy session after the drugs started to kick in, the doctors asked me how I felt. Strangely, I feel less angry. Not until that moment had I realized just how much rage I felt, directed mostly at myself. In the days to come, I was oddly reassured to realize that my instinct for survival seemed to have gotten better over the years. Instead of having the episode in the street or at the grocery store, I'd somehow managed to shake it off until I could get someplace safe. Today, I am a professor at the University of Southern California Gould School of Law. I am an expert in mental health law and a MacArthur Foundation Fellowship winner. On my journey, I learned that the humanity we share is more important than the mental illness we may not. With proper treatment, someone who is mentally ill can lead a full and rich life. But what truly makes life wonderful? Good friends, a satisfying job, and loving relationships is just as valuable for those of us who struggle with schizophrenia as for anyone else. My good fortune is not that I've recovered from mental illness. I have not, nor will I ever. My good fortune lies in having found my life.
Bigotry is bad for business, and we do not support the preaching of hate, are just a few things that North Carolina citizens are saying in regard to a controversial legislation passed by Pat McCrory, the Senator of North Carolina. These are just the things that the citizens of North Carolina are saying in response to the legislation that McCrory passed that is being strictly labeled as anti-LGBT. But when larger organizations and other influences in our nation step in and begin to condemn the law, we are going to see a much greater impact. Today, when we are asked the question, will the boycott by entertainers and organizations of North Carolina be enough for the state to change its recently passed anti-LGBT law? The answer is absolutely yes, and we will examine this for three main reasons. First, we will look at what exactly the law encompasses and what organizations are actually starting to boycott the state of North Carolina. Second, we will examine how the governor of North Carolina has actually already made several alterations to the legislation itself. And finally, we will examine the drastic effect that the boycotts will have on the economy and general standing of the state, and how this will almost demand any sort of change in the future. But before we examine this, we must look at what exactly the legislation itself encompasses, and which organizations and institutions in our nation are boycotting the state of North Carolina, and what this exactly means. An article from ABC News published on March 24th of this year states how the bathroom bill, it is being called, bars local municipalities from creating their own rules on separation by gender in any public place or area. What this means more specifically is that any public school, government agency, or public college bathroom or changing area in the state of North Carolina is encompassed by this law, and states that an individual must use the bathroom in the state of North Carolina that is associated with them based on the gender on their actual birth certificate. In terms of transgender individuals, it means that this group of people in North Carolina must use the bathroom under the law that is under their birth certificate, and not use the bathroom that they choose to affiliate with based on gender throughout their lives. This has obviously drawn massive controversy, but luckily, apart from citizens of North Carolina, greater organizations are stepping in and boycotting the state as a result of this anti-LGBT bill. An article from Esquire, published on April 13th of this year, states several organizations that have already made their terms in boycotting the state of North Carolina, and this means drawing out all sort of business practices or actual products out of the state entirely. These organizations so far include PayPal, Hewlett-Packard, the Dow Chemical Company, Pepsi, Lionsgate, and General Electric, upon more. On top of this, entertainers such as Bruce Springsteen, Michael Moore, Ringo Starr, among others, have also agreed that in the future, until this law is changed, they will have no part in performing or being a part of anything related to the state of North Carolina. But now that we have examined what the law actually encompasses and the specific individuals and organizations that are taking a part in repealing it, we must look at the actual effects of this. And one of the major effects will be that the North Carolina governor will already make some alterations, and we will examine some specific changes that he has made thus far in response to the massive amounts of backlash to the bathroom bill. An article from LA Times published on April 12th of this year states how Governor Pat McCrory has announced that he will sign an executive order to greater affirm privacy and equality in the state of North Carolina, two ideas that the bathroom bill severely goes against. While this is a very broad statement that he has made to the public, it at least brings up the idea that McCrory understands the consequences associated with passing a bill as controversial as this one in 2016, a year after we have made so many advances in gaining rights for the LGBT community in just last summer of 2015. On top of this, McCrory has stated that he will quickly seek approval of a new law reinstating the right to sue for discrimination in North Carolina state courts. And when this is actually implemented, we are going to see a massive amount of suings not only in the state courts, but potentially from the federal government in terms of backlash to the actual bill itself and drawing out any sort of business in North Carolina as a state. This is going to greatly hurt the state of North Carolina in terms of business practices and its standing. And this brings us into our final point as to why the entertainer boycotts and organization boycotts simply are enough to repeal the controversial bathroom bill in North Carolina. And this is because through the boycotts, North Carolina will see a severe drop in their standing and economy amid the growing amount of resentment and condemnation from many organizations in the United States. An article from The Guardian published on April 15th of this year states how the Raleigh Convention Center lost a total of $2.4 million just last month solely from entertainment boycotts from entertainers that promised they would show up at the city convention, but thus drew out because only of the bathroom bill itself. $2.4 million being lost strictly because of boycotts as a result of this controversial bathroom bill is money that could have been allocated to improving the city itself or improving the economic sector in other areas of the state. $2.4 million lost simply because of the boycotts from entertainers as a result of massive resentment toward this law. On top of this, The Guardian also reports how the NAACP has threatened civil disobedience throughout the state of North Carolina if the state legislature does not repeal the bathroom bill entirely by the end of May of 2016. When we combine the fact that the economy of North Carolina has lost $2.4 million, paired with the fact that one of the largest civil rights organizations in the nation is now threatening civil disobedience if the bathroom bill is not repealed, it is clear to see that the boycotts against the bill itself are not only decreasing the standing, but also the standing of the economy in terms of North Carolina specifically. And this means that Pat McCrory will be forced to make great changes to the bathroom bill, as it is simply a law that does not uphold the rights of liberty and justice that our nation stands for. Today, when we are asked the question, will the boycott by entertainers and organizations of North Carolina be enough for the state to change its recently passed anti-LGBT law? The answer is clearly yes. After examining what the law encompasses itself and who is boycotting, how the North Carolina governor has already made several alterations, and finally how the bill has hurt North Carolina's standing as a state and economy, it is clear to see that McCrory will need to make changes if North Carolina is going to continue to be successful. Thank you.
I was 23 years old when I had my first child, and I was in labor for 3 days before my son RJ was born. So when I first laid my eyes on him, I felt nothing but exhaustion. And I said, "This is it?" It wasn't until he was wrapped up in my arms and I felt that rush of maternal love. And I thought, this is it. Life is random and unfair, but if you look hard enough, you can find the beauty. Walking with RJ by Stephanie Perillo. I had another child, a daughter, Emma, and soon after Emma was born, their father and I divorced. Fast forward and the kids are both in high school, and they're doing great. RJ's in theater and he plays the drums. But in January of his junior year, a cop shows up at our door. You RJ's mom? Yes? There's been an accident. Oh, we have to get to the hospital right away. So the cop drove me to Harborview, which is not the closest hospital to our house, but it is the one with a trauma center. RJ was driving to his best friend's house. He didn't have any drugs or alcohol in his system. He was hit from the side. at a blind intersection. He sustained a traumatic brain injury and a number of broken bones. At the time, I was the vice president of an advertising agency, and they had just changed their insurance plan. Keep in mind, it's the first week of January, so all I have is a note card with a phone number on the back. So I make the call. They start listing all these benefits. Thank God. I don't have to worry. I've done everything right. And 2 weeks after RJ was discharged from the ICU, the insurance company called. RJ's benefits are up on Friday. No. He has more benefits. But of course, I just had a voice on the other end of the phone. I didn't have the summary plan description. Well, where am I supposed to take him? He's in a coma. Well, there's always foster care. So, Emma and I took RJ home. We made a hospital room in his bedroom. He had a peg tube in his stomach. That's how you pumped in nutrition. Mom, I will help you any way I can, as long as it doesn't involve the Speedo Zone. So when RJ needed to be changed, because he was in diapers, she would hand me a bucket of warm water and washcloths. I would go in and clean him up. Coming out of a coma is nothing like it is in the movies. It's a long, slow, painstaking process. It took RJ months, and he learned how to lift up his head. And I still couldn't get the summary plan description. I have them on the phone. They're telling me my benefits, but they won't give me them. This isn't a bureaucratic mix-up. This is intentional. And this is illegal. Turns out it's a violation of the law ERISA. So I called a lawyer. I can help you, but you need to give me a retainer of $30,000. Let me be clear. I am a single mom who paid to set up a hospital room in my house. I pay a nurse to sit with my son so I can go to my job to get this insurance. I don't have $30,000. I'm sorry. I can't help you. And at this point, I was completely exhausted, and I was very concerned about being fired. So I applied for FMLA leave. Shortly into my leave, I was fired. These things are illegal. But you can't call the cops on a corporation. And I couldn't afford an attorney. But when RJ turned 18, he was able to go on Medicaid. So I made the decision to put him into a nursing home. They didn't have a lot of money, but they took really good care of RJ. And he continued to make slow progress. He could do thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. Once, Emma was teasing him, and he flipped her off. And I got really excited, because that's some manual dexterity happening right there. And then he turned to me, and he put his hand down. Because brain injury or not, he was not about to flip off his mother. But in September, RJ got very sick. His peg tube had fallen out, and this happens, and when it does, you're supposed to x-ray it to make sure you put it back in the right place. Well, this facility couldn't afford an x-ray machine, so they guessed. And they guessed wrong. At the hospital, the surgeon pulled me aside. I can operate on RJ, but he will go back into a deep coma and he will never come out. Or you can let him go. I walked into RJ's room. He was completely aware of what was happening. RJ, you're very sick. And they can't fix you. So you're gonna go to God. RJ, you're gonna go to God and I'm gonna be there. Soon. It took RJ 3 days to die. It took him 3 days to come into this world. And 3 days to leave. Most days, I wake up and the world is just so diminished without him. It's like a total eclipse of the sun, but I'm the only one that can see it. But between the time of RJ's death and his accident, he was only able to say a handful of words. The word he said most was Mom.
No one ever explained the old birds and bees to me. Dad was off in California all shacked up with his mistress, and Mom was too boozed up to care. And I was too busy playing my guitar. And nothing ever happens in the small town of Clayton, Missouri. All in all, it's a place where boredom is measured by the clock. You know, it's 2 o'clock and I'm pretty bored. It's 5 o'clock, I'm really bored. It's 8 o'clock, God, I'm freaking bored. And it's 12 o'clock, I'm so bored! I think I'll go to bed. You get the idea. The year is 1973, and a cocky 16-year-old kid named Rick Thibault is trying really hard to be himself. Between dealing with his highly dysfunctional family and gunning for the most beautiful girl in school, well, like most teenagers, he's either feeling like I'm the king of the freaking universe, or While I'm Dead, Feed the Dog by Rick Brown. The one light in this dreary old town is the love of my life, Nina Pennington. She's the most beautiful girl in the whole world. If you don't count Raquel Welch. Or Jane Fonda and Barbarella. She's got straight blonde hair, a great personality, and an ass you could base a religion on, and I forget what color her eyes are. Anyway, like me, she's a big Bowie fan. And thanks to my best friend Billy, she thinks I know David personally. Look, I wanted to make my move today, and my heart stopped as soon as I saw her. She was wearing a black V-neck sweater that promised unimaginable treasures and black satin hot pants with pink stiletto heels. Her legs led up to heaven, and well, my mind was right down in hell. However, in the newly revised paperback edition of How to Pick Up Girls, ding, it says anything is fair in trying to score with a chick. So, the next day at school, well, I lie. Nina, David called last night, and I've got tickets to see Bowie Friday night in Chicago. Since it's Good Friday and we get the day off from school, I was wondering, maybe you wanted to go with me? I am perfectly aware that the chances of Nina Pennington convincing her parents to let her go on a date 250 miles away with anyone, much less me, are roughly the same chances as, well, hell freezing over. She'll decline, and we'll go on a date somewhere I can practice all the moves on her I learned from How to Pick Up Girls. Ding! But before I could finish patting myself on the back for trying, I learned of a sudden cold front blowing down from Satan's empire. My parents are away in Europe, so they'll never know. I'd love to. I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man! Today's Monday and the concert's on Friday, which means I only have, like 6 days to figure out some plausible excuse for why I don't have backstage passes to my friend David's show. I'm desperate, but I can't let Nina feel it. Great! I'll pick you up around noon. It'll be far out. I'm screwed. My next class is Latin, and it's bad enough that I live in the most boring city, in the most boring state in the United States, but I take classes in dead, boring languages. However, my teacher, Mr. Apgar, is so into reading Ovid that there's a chance he won't miss me. So I gamble. I go down to the radio station and find Jimmy Leach, who knows everyone at Bowie's record company. And I tell Jimmy my emergency, and he manages to get me not only tickets, but backstage frickin' passes. I promise never to prank call the station ever again. And when I get back to class, I realize that I've lucked out. You see, Mr. Apgar didn't really notice I was gone. In fact, well, Mr. Apgar didn't really notice anything because, well, he had a heart attack and he died while reading Ovid. My friend Billy's filling me in on the details. Man, you should have seen it, man. Apgar's about to give a surprise quiz, right? When he grabs his chest, mumbles something in Latin, belches. And then he died, bro! The next day at school, Nina is still being sensitive. I want to comfort her, but nowhere in the newly revised paperback edition of How to Pick Up Girls Ding does it say anywhere in here about how to comfort the woman of your dreams when an old Latin teacher dies on her lap. So I tell her it's okay if she'd rather have a prayer vigil for dear Mr. Apgar than go see Bowie, but she says that he would have wanted us to have fun, so Chicago's still on. And before I knew it, Friday is here. Nina and I are driving there in her car when she starts asking me about my family. Look, my family has a bit of a reputation. I don't really want to talk about them much, but Nina Pennington just tends to open my soul. Look, Nina, I'm kind of a low man in the totem pole when it comes to my family. First, besides his philandering, is Dad. And Mom, who hasn't been sober since she caught Dad with the secretary 8 years ago. But they never quite seem to make it to court. You know, there's always some temporary reconciliation and then, well, and then they break up. Again. Next is Kristen. She's 18, 2 years older than me, and has never been caught doing anything wrong in her life. But she also speaks 4 languages fluently and gets straight A's in school. Oh, and she also strips under the name Bambi Bosoms on Friday nights in Gaslight Square. I found that one out when I caught her stashing $200 behind the garage. And then there's Steven, and we haven't gotten along since the day JFK got killed. And I was homesick that afternoon, watching TV when it happened, and Steven came home for lunch, and I bet him $5 he didn't know who the President of the United States was. And of course, he took the wager and said Kennedy, and I told him he was wrong, and it was Johnson. He then got pissed off and refused to pay. I tried to appeal to Mom, but she told me I had bad taste in making such a bet. No one ever respects my entrepreneurial spirit. Anyway, I look at Nina and realize that, well, I probably should have shut up sooner. She's speechless after my stupid rant about my relatives. I begin to get embarrassed, so I turn on some Bowie and we're silent for the rest of the way, but, well, we didn't even reach the rest of the way. Because Nina, well, that beautiful screw-up, she accidentally crashed the car and we didn't even get to go to the concert. I mean, it was partly my fault. I said, "Oh, hey, look, a bird!" And then she crashed into a telephone pole. And the bird. I haven't talked to Nina since. I assume she hates me because, well, I did blow her whole chances of meeting David Bowie. Not to mention my family's insane, and who would ever want to be with someone related to something like that? After a week of misery and assuming the worst, my sister Kristen yells I have a phone call. "Tell whoever it is I'll call him back in 20 minutes. She then says, "It's Nina Pennington." I pick up the phone. Look, my family may suck in every way, and I may hate them more than anything in the world at times, but They're my family. And that's nothing to be ashamed of, really. If Nina Pennington doesn't want to be with me because of them, well, God, that sucked, but screw her. I pick up the phone.
Rick, I'm so sorry I crashed the car and made you miss Bowie. I want to make it up to you, so what are you doing tonight?
I assure her that it was not her fault at all and that I would love to see her. And then she says,
And Rick, your family is pretty awesome.
I know.
In all of our lives, it may be difficult to continue. We have many challenges as we continue out throughout our lives, and in many ways, despite what we may see in our own democracy or in the government of others, we are not always free. We are beholden to society's expectations, and often we are beholden to our own expectations, and this does not make us free. This is a similar sentiment to what the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau writes when he says, "Man is born free, yet everywhere he is in chains." In this, Rousseau attests to his belief that men are initially born free, but that it is society and government that corrupt them and make us so that we are no longer free. So today we will look at this through three main trains of thought. First, we will begin by looking at the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau's piece, Discourse on Inequality. Next, we will look at the novella, The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, and finally, we will look at socialization and its development of the human character. But first, let us look to the Discourse on Inequality to show us that Rousseau's sentiments that he sets forth are indeed correct. Now, Rousseau is the author of Discourse on Inequality, but he is also the author of this quotation, and his piece, Discourse on Inequality, offers similar sentiments to what he sets out in today's quotation. In his treatise, Discourse on Inequality, Rousseau discusses on how men in society have a difficult time living. We are so beholden to our own expectations that it is very difficult for us to be actually free in life. To Rousseau, to be in the countryside and the pastoral side of life is the way that humanity ought to live. To him, to release yourself from the tensions of modern life is the only way we can be free. So while we may have a semblance of freedom in modern capitalist society, to Rousseau, this is not the case. In addition to Rousseau's own discussion in Discourse on Inequality, Franz Kafka's novella, The Metamorphosis, offers another and even darker perspective on what Jean-Jacques Rousseau is saying today. Franz Kafka was an existentialist writer who explored concepts of alienation from society. In his novel, The Metamorphosis, the main character, Gregor Samsa, is metamorphosed into a bug, a monstrous vermin, as he says. And while this may be abstract to many people, it may seem very difficult to understand, what Franz Kafka is also ultimately trying to do is to make a broad metaphor for human life. He's explaining through Gregor Samsa's own alienation that human society and society of the 20th century is one of extreme alienation. The individual cannot thrive in society, to Kafka, unless he or she meets society's expectations. So while Kafka offers a literary perspective, we can take a more social scientific perspective when we look at the idea of socialization. Socialization is a idea in social sciences, specifically in political science and sociology, where we get a lot of our beliefs from our parents and from our peers. Especially when looking at ideas such as political party, socialization from parents is key in forming our political party allegiances. And often, almost very seldom, do we ever break out of these. The customs and habits that are ingrained into us by society and our parents are very difficult to get rid of. So in this regard, in a scientific regard, we are indeed not free like Rousseau is explaining to us. Our social constraints impress upon us, and since they are learned from an early age. This is what socialization is discussing. So in conclusion, we have discussed today's quotation, "Man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains." And in this we have explained that Rousseau is telling us that ultimately man is not free, that instead we are beholden to social obligations which are difficult to meet. And today we looked at Rousseau's Discourse in Equality, next we looked at Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis, and finally we looked at socialization. So we may have a semblance of freedom, but when we strip down the veneer of freedom that we may think that we have, modern society can be quite unfree. It can be quite illiberal despite the fact that we have liberal government. And so we must always try to show this. And then we may take the steps to make it so that we are free. Thank you.
Every year on the third Saturday in October, all of the women in my family converge upon my grandma's home to celebrate Make a Difference Day. For as long as I can remember, all of my Italian aunties have spent the day talking, eating, and crocheting blankets to be donated to homeless shelters in Detroit. When we hear the words knitting or crocheting, our minds often drift to an image similar to what my grandma's basement looks like on Make a Difference Day. But a growing nonprofit is showing that knitting and crocheting aren't just things for grandmas and aunties anymore, and it's changing lives at the same time. Crochet Kids, an organization that teaches women in developing countries to crochet and sells the products that they create on their behalf. In order to better understand how Crochet Kids is changing lives today, we will first take a look at its history. Next, we will examine its line of chic products before finally sizing up Crochet Kids to its competition and learning why we should buy our everyday products from a company that's changing women's everyday lives. Crochet Kids was founded by three close friends, Travis, Stuart, and Cole, in Spokane, Washington, while they were in high school in the late 1990s. It originally began as a small business between friends. The three would use their crocheting skills to make hats and scarves and sell them to their friends who would wear them while skiing. Crochet Kids truly began making waves when Travis, Stuart, and Cole left Spokane for college. During their college years, they were each drawn to a variety of service projects in developing countries. But despite aid packages that charity groups would send to these countries, members of the communities they served expressed a desire to work and a longing to provide for themselves. It was then that Travis, Stuart, and Cole paired their drive to make a difference with their knowledge of crocheting. And so, the three decided to teach 10 women in a northern Ugandan village to crochet, simultaneously enabling them to use their skills to rise above poverty. Crochet Kids quickly expanded to friends and family that wanted to help, and in 2008, Crochet Kids was granted nonprofit status. Since then, Crochet Kids has expanded to more villages in Uganda and across the ocean to Peru. Today, 150 women are working, receiving an education, and being mentored toward a brighter future in creating gifts that give back. At its inception, Crochet Kids sold beanies to ski bums in Spokane. Since then, its product line has evolved to a full closet of headwear, bags, apparel, and scarves. Crochet Kids' user-friendly website will help you to determine which items are best for you and your loved ones. For example, if you're interested in something to keep your head warm during Michigan's long winters, consider the Jameson, one of the many hats by Crochet Kids, made of 100% acrylic yarn and ideal for both men and women. Each Jameson beanie is fitted with a palm and perfect for your next outdoor adventure. Or, if a scarf is more your style, check out the Hutton, this simple yet classy infinity scarf made of acrylic yarn and alpaca wool. The Hutton is a great addition to any outfit, either as a chic accessory or for extra warmth. Whether you're going on vacation or just going to the market, Crochet Kids has got you covered. You'll look fashion forward with one of the many bags by Crochet Kids. Take a look at this Brooklyn. This backpack is as stylish as it is versatile, and it will have your back no matter where you go. Crochet Kids recently introduced its Cut and Sew program, featuring fabric products like t-shirts, sweaters, and hoodies. Each item is made of fabric from Peruvian thread and sewn together by a Crochet Kids woman. T-shirts like the Pocket Henley make Crochet Kids a brand for all seasons. But surprisingly, the best part about each Crochet Kids product isn't its quality workmanship or its fantastic style. Hidden inside each Crochet Kids product is a tag hand-signed by the woman that made it. Each and every item produced by Crochet Kids has this unique personal touch. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, it does. Once your product has arrived, log on to crochetkids.org and click on the link entitled Meet the Lady That Made My Product. Just as the name suggests, type in the name of the woman on your tag, and you're able to read her short biography, her dreams for the future, and a short message to you, her customer. This connection between producer and consumer is virtually unparalleled anywhere else in the market, and is just one of the many ways that Crochet Kids is stitching lives together around the globe. When it comes to competition, Crochet Kids is the ideal blend of personality and practicality. Take, for example, one of Crochet Kids' top competitors, 10,000 Villages. 10,000 Villages represents the diverse cultures of Asia, Africa, and Latin America through handmade goods and personal accessories. While the mission of 10,000 Villages is worth praise, it lacks the personal connection that Crochet Kids has, where each and every customer can know exactly where their product was made, but also by whom. And while 10,000 Villages creates a market for artisans in rural areas, it lacks a system of empowerment that results in long-lasting, sustainable change. Now, you may be thinking, Crochet Kids products are well-made, fashion-forward, and have unique stories behind them. It would seem that a gift of this value would have a higher price compared to a similar item made by machines in a factory. But surprisingly, Crochet Kids products are consistently priced lower than their mass-produced counterparts. Compare the Maria scarf by Anthropology with the Berlin by Crochet Kids. At face value, it seems that these two scarves are almost identical. Both are made of 100% acrylic yarn, feature similar designs, and are great additions to any winter ensemble. But take a closer look at the price tag. Crochet Kids wins, beating out the Maria at $78, with the Berlin's more affordable price of $39.95. When it comes to competition, Crochet Kids is clearly on top. While you and I get to enjoy our stylish apparel and accessories, we aren't the ones benefiting the most from shopping with Crochet Kids. Each and every woman involved with Crochet Kids, either in Uganda or Peru, is being equipped with the skills, assets, and knowledge necessary to lift herself and her family out of poverty. Through a unique 3-step program of empowerment, Crochet Kids has seen monumental changes in the abilities of their women to take on the world. The first step is a job. Through a job at Crochet Kids, women are able to meet the present needs of their families through a steady income. The second step is education. With help from Crochet Kids, women are able to develop beyond the need for outside aid and are able to move towards self-sufficiency. And the third step is mentorship. By working closely with Crochet Kids, each and every woman is able to plan a unique and sustainable career path for her future. This 3-tiered approach has yielded uplifting results. Crochet Kids families are 5 times more likely to have access to healthcare, and Crochet Kids women are 25% more likely to participate in major family decisions. On average, personal income grows to be 25 times larger than before involvement with Crochet Kids. And perhaps the most profound statistic, children whose mothers are Crochet Kids women are 8 times more likely to attend high school. In regions where advanced education is a luxury, Crochet Kids is truly changing lives, one woman and her family at a time. Throughout my life, I've received countless crochet gifts, hats, scarves, blankets, you name it. But my favorite crocheted item is this tie. Made in Peru by a woman named Amanda, this tie represents empowerment and how Crochet Kids is making real changes in the lives of real people. And when we shop with Crochet Kids, either for winter accessories or summer apparel or anything in between, you and I can help once disenfranchised women feel like Amanda, who says, I feel capable of doing anything.
Nice.
Thank you.
Pretty sure that we're safe now.
Are we safe? I was wondering.
I heard it in.
As we drove along in my newly acquired, used Ford Taurus, my mother simply gushed. See, we are just like Thelma and Louise. Here we go. Now she thinks we're movie stars. Well, in more ways than I knew, she was actually right. We were like the 1991 title characters in the movie about 2 women on the run. My mother, of course, would have to be Thelma. You know, the pretty ingenue, the one eager for attention and perfectly done up after her hour-long beauty ritual. So, I would be Louise, the pragmatic problem solver. How many of us view life before and after a big event? Before and after graduation? Before and after marriage or the birth of a child? Before and after death? This is the true story of Kelly Thomas and her personal journey after the death of her mother to the day where she could finally again be
Ready to Take a Faithful Leap, an essay by Kelly Thomas. My childhood house was an isolated farm in North Texas, but my home was a place dominated by my mother's unpredictable bouts of depression, a place that, for as long as I could remember, I just wanted to escape. So I focused on test scores, grades, and a life beyond rural Texas, while my mother fantasized in her southern drawl about my wedding to some well-heeled hometown boy. Well, she wanted a nice banquet-style dinner. You know, one that could put even my own wedding to shame. But this time around as mother of the bride. Well, in these flights of fancy, my mother was vivacious, ebullient, the center of attention, while I was cast as her silent enabler. But I believed that I had the unique ability to hold her in check. And then one day I just had it. Mom, I'm not getting married. And you know what? I am never going to have children. Well, she called me selfish. And you know what? It's true. I was selfish for denying her the opportunity to be the belle of the ball in her fantasies. But more precisely, I was selfish because I aspired for a life outside of her world. So, when the University of Michigan called me and offered me a fellowship, I thought my freedom would begin the moment I pulled out of my driveway. But then People magazine ran an article about a young woman who was abducted by a drifter while driving alone. And my mother was obsessed with the story and insisted that she accompany me along to Ann Arbor. But I knew this was just an excuse. She just wanted one last chance to play out our old ways before I strayed beyond her reach. But out of guilt, I agreed to let her come along for the ride to Michigan. About 2 hours south from our destination, I asked my mother if she wanted me to drive. But she just said, "It's all right, darling. See, I feel just fine." Still, I could sense her hopelessness. See, our excursion was coming to an end, and she could no longer pretend we were a couple of adolescents out on a lark. I was going where she would never go. At the climax of Thelma and Louise, the two women are trapped between troopers and an impassable canyon. So, they must make a choice. Either surrender or take their own lives. Louise hesitates, but Thelma insists. "No. Let's not get caught. Let's keep going forever." In solidarity, the two women hold hands, gun the accelerator, and drive off where, cinematically, they're forever suspended triumphantly in mid-air. Well, on our trip, 20 miles later, we were the Thelma and Louise. When my mother decided to drive off a highway overpass at 70 miles an hour. As soon as the car landed, I knew that this was it. This was what I had always feared. That my mother would deliver on one of her threats, go out of control. With one look, I saw that my mother had been killed by the impact. That there was nothing I could do to save her. But terrified that the car would burst into flames, I unbuckled my seatbelt and I climbed out. I've gone through several iterations about what happened. Well, first, it was an accident. Because I couldn't believe it was anything but that. I mean, the couple behind us did report that our car veered sharply to the right without brake lights, so my mother, who was perfectly cognizant moments before, must have just dozed off. Well, second, it was a wreck. Because that's what I was. I was overcome with post-traumatic stress and fits of anxiety. And I just couldn't get past the fact that before and after were indelible. That certain events could just cleave my time in two. But I've come to settle on, when my mother drove off the bridge, part of me believes that She wanted us to be the Thelma and Louise who, in driving off the cliff, choose their relationship over life itself. But I stayed away from small towns and serious relationships. If I avoided any true commitment, I would never be stuck. And yet, in some ways, I had become just as trapped as my mother. I slowly came to realize that I had been clinging to my own sort of fantasy, one in which I, unlike my mother, could have complete control over my life. Sometime later, I was on vacation with my boyfriend of 3 months, where he told me about an old English custom in which 2 people are married if they say, "I marry thee" 3 times, clap in unison, and kiss. Well, finding the story charming and amusing, I just laughed. Only after a moment did I realize he was proposing to me. He wanted us to make a life together. So, I was at another turning point in my life. Except this time, the choice was mine. Here was someone with whom I could create a new type of future, a new type of home, a home of possibility, a home I could actually love. And I began to realize that falling and trusting in the unknown doesn't have to mean driving off a cliff. That leaps could be leaps of faith. Against the backdrop of the blooming Joshua trees, I stretched out beyond the clear blue pool water, and I made the leap.
Grandmama, will you tell me a story? Tonight I'm going to tell you how to recognize a witch when you see one. Now the first thing to remember is that a real witch is always bald and wears a wig to hide it. The second thing to remember is that a real witch has thin and curvy claws and wears gloves to hide them. Finally, a real witch has the most amazing powers of smell. She couldn't smell me. I've just had a bath. Oh, yes, she could. To a witch, my darling, you smell of dog's droppings. Now, once a year, all the witches get together in one place to receive a lecture from the Grand High Witch of all the world.
Fairy tales and scary stories have been used by parents and grandparents for generations to help guide and protect their kids. But these stories come true for a young boy, and he learns that it's the loved ones in his life that will help him through the thick and the thin, especially when he meets the witches by Roald Dahl.
My grandmother and I were taking our summer holiday in England. While wandering around the hotel, I came to the ballroom. This room is reserved for the Royal Society of the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Suddenly, I heard voices outside the ballroom door.
Come and sit next to me, Millie dear. Oh, hello, Beatrice. I haven't seen you since the last meeting. What an adorable dress you have on.
You may remove your gloves. You may remove your wigs.
Yeah!
Witches of the world! Witches of the world! You are a heap of good-for-nothing worms! Every day, I am seeing hundreds, I am seeing thousands of rotten, repulsive little children! Why have you not got rid of them? We will wipe them all away, your grandness. So now I is having a plan for getting rid of every single child in the whole of the world! First, you will be going out. You will be buying sweet shops. Next, you will prepare yourselves for this great shop opening by filling each and every one of your sweets with my latest and greatest magic formula. This is known as Formula 86 Delayed Action Mouse Maker.
Down these children do they mean, boil their bones and fry their skin, bish them, squish them, bash them, mash them, break them, shake them, slash them, smash them.
offer chucks with magic powder. Say it up, then say it louder. And in the morning, little fools go marching off to separate schools. A girl feels sick and goes all pale. She yells, "Hey, look, I've grown a tail." A boy who's standing next to her screams, "Help, I think I'm growing fur." Then all at once, all in at thrice, there are no children, only mice. This meeting is over. Wait. Dog's droppings. Just then, I got a whiff of dog's droppings. I'm finished. I'm done for. Oh, Grandmama, what are they gonna do to me? A child. Now for a little medicine. 500 doses! As soon as I was out of the ballroom, it took off like a flash. Oh, my darling. Oh, my poor sweet darling. What have they done to you? I know what they've done, Grandmama. But the funny thing is, I don't feel especially bad about it. I know I'll be quite all right as long as I always have you to look after me. Grandmama, I have an idea. Well, the Grand High Witch said her room was number 454, right? Well, that's a room directly under mine, and I'll better climb in there somehow, steal a bottle of delayed action mouse maker, and bring it back up here. One bottle is enough for 500 people. We can turn them all into mice. You're a genius, my darling, but you must hurry. Dum dum da da dum dum da da dum dum da da. Zip. Grandmama, let me in. I've done it. Formula 86 delayed action mouse maker. Well done, my darling. Now, in about half an hour's time, each and every one of the witches will be going down to the dining room, and each and every one of them has got to be given 1 dose of mouse maker. How on earth are we going to do that? Well, a little mouse can go scuttling round the kitchen among the pots and pans, and if he's very careful, no one will ever see him. Good evening, madam. Today there's green pea soup to begin with, and for the main course you have a choice of either grilled fillet of sole or roast lamb. Bring us all the pea soup and the lamb, now! Of course, madam. Go, darling, go! Put the soup for the big party in the large silver soup tureen. I managed to shimmy up a little water pipe in the corner, and in no time at all, I was up on the very top shelf, above the large silver soup tureen. Soup for the big party, all ready to go out. Yes! Grandmama, they're shrinking just like I did. Yeah, doggy, or should I say, yeah, mouse. Yeehaw! I will not turn into a mouse. Grandmama, we got rid of all the witches. I'm afraid not, my darling. You see, there is always another Grand High Witch waiting in the wings in case anything should ever happen. So we sure are going to be busy the next few weeks and months and years. I think we are, Grandmama, and it sure is going to be fun.
Here's a riddle. What do Vanessa Hudgens and Justin Bieber have in common? Yes, they're both idolized pop stars, and sure, they're teen heartthrobs and overusers of autotune, but that's not it. Vanessa Hudgens and Justin Bieber have both been charged by authorities with disrespecting property at nationally protected parks. Hudgens drew graffiti on the age-old red rocks of Sedona, Arizona, later posting a picture on Instagram to celebrate her defamation. Bieber climbed over ancient Mayan monuments while yelling obscenities. Unfortunately, the ignorant actions of these celebrities are not unique. Destructive tourism, by both intentional and unintentional actions, threatens the preservation of our parks, monuments, and wildlife across the United States. Today, we will discover the history of American tourism and how exactly it became so destructive. Next, we will explore its effects in our nation today, as well as right here in Michigan. And finally, we will trek through some solutions to making tourism more sustainable, which will allow generations of travelers to both enjoy and preserve our national parks and monuments for decades to come. The beginnings of American tourism date back prior to the foundation of the country itself. In the late 17th and early 18th centuries, wealthy Europeans would venture across the Atlantic to view the colonies and the tribes who lived further west. Farmers also found the Great Plains an attractive place to settle. However, decades later, both environmentalists and politicians began to take notice of how quickly we were using up the land of the Great Plains and Southwest. In response, Yellowstone Park was established in 1872, Mackinac Island in 1875, and Yosemite in 1890. After that, efforts to preserve areas of land only grew more popular. Theodore Roosevelt is often acknowledged as the most conservation-conscious president. He established the U.S. Forest Service as well as several national monuments, including the Petrified Forests in Arizona and the Jewel Canyons in Nevada. All in all, Roosevelt preserved over 330 million acres of land. But of course, with the development of these parks and monuments, entrepreneurs sought to draw tourists in, with the promise of comfortable accommodations and entertainment. So tourism boomed, but with paying customers came increasingly severe environmental damage, in the form of trash and other waste. But even the people charged with protecting our parks made mistakes. In several national monuments, such as the Redwood Forest in California, entire tunnels have been carved into trees to avoid the cost of building pathways around them. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency reports that 1/3 of these projects have failed, resulting in the tree, which has likely stood for over 200 years, immediately falling over. But destructive tourism doesn't just affect our national parks. The organization Resources for the Future reports that increasingly run-down and polluted state park facilities have discouraged lawmakers from providing funding for these facilities in the future. And since 2009, 36 state parks have closed down, simply as a result of negligent tourist behavior. Here are some of the most prominent examples of destructive tourism in our nation. A prime example is noise pollution. The U.S. Park Service reports that noises from snowmobiles and helicopters inhibit an animal's ability to find mates, reproduce, protect their young, and avoid predators. A University of California study proved that in areas of high helicopter traffic in the Grand Canyon, condors in the region left altogether. Clinton Francis, a biologist at Cal Polytech, states that immediately when noise pollution enters an area, 1/3 of the total bird population will immediately migrate. The International Business Times states that noises affect the reproductive success of entire animal populations all around the world. Another issue created by destructive tourism is the excessive littering and waste it causes. The National Everglades Park in Florida closes down sections of its facility for extended periods of time. just to devote time to cleaning up these areas. And the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency reports that the monetary loss from closing down these sections amounts to $500 million annually. But destructive tourism doesn't just affect our national treasures, because careless traveling happens right here in Michigan. The Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory states that overfishing in areas like Marquette and Petoskey contributes to the erosion of beaches. Overfishing excessively removes seaweed and underwater plants near shores, which then causes the nutrient-lacking sand and soil to give away to waves over time. Essentially, that means our beaches are slowly but surely being reduced to nothing. While there are several issues created by destructive tourism in our nation, these are at a constant battle with the industry's enormous economic benefits. The American economy gains billions of dollars in revenue each year from tourism, and our economy would falter without it. Thus, solutions to destructive tourism should not actually limit or prevent travel whatsoever. Instead, they should focus on how tourism can be made less wasteful and less harmful. First, we must encourage our lawmakers and park protectors to continue to regulate park development. For instance, a bill titled the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative gained major ground in Congress just last month. We should write to and email our local representatives to show our support for such legislation in the future. Second, we must regulate the visitors themselves. There is some encouraging news on this front. Kurt Fristrop, who works with the National Park Service, states that several park officials have found creative ways that humans can minimize their impact on the environment. Furthermore, Yellowstone bus operators are allowed to bring in more people if they drive quieter buses, and bus schedules have been modified so that they arrive at designated times instead of a constant flow all day. The Yosemite National Park has limited the number of snowmobiles allowed each day to just 314 from the previous 1,500 that was once the norm. Even solutions as simple as putting up signs encouraging visitors to keep quiet reduced noise pollution at the Golden Gate Park by 50%. Solutions that all of us can be a part of include avoiding littering and refraining from making unnecessary noise. And we must be mindful when we visit our local, state, and national parks to tune in to the sounds of nature, to take out what we brought in, and to remind other visitors to do the same. Today, we discovered the history of American tourism and how exactly it turned so destructive. Next, we saw its effects in our nation today, as well as right here in Michigan. And finally, we went through some solutions to making tourism more sustainable, from both our lawmakers and ourselves. So next time you're on vacation, don't just think about the wondrous sights of Mount Everest or the beautiful views of the Grand Canyon. Think about how the small behavioral changes that you make as a traveler can have a sizable impact on the future of the entire tourism industry. Next time, let's not invite Vanessa Hudgens. Thank you.
Once upon a time, in a kingdom by the sea, there lived a little princess named Lenore. One day, Lenore fell ill. The royal physician was worried, so he sent for the king, Lenore's father, and the king came to see her.
Is there anything your little heart desires?
Yes, I want the moon. For if I can have the moon, I will be well again.
Most parents want to make their children's dreams come true, and the king is no exception. But when he seeks the wisdom of his closest advisors, they all learn that the wisest among them is the Child, and Many Moons by James Thurber. Now the king had a great many wise men, who always got for him anything he wanted. He told his little daughter she could have the moon, went into the throne room and rang a bell cord, 3 long pulls, and the Lord High Chamberlain stepped in to the throne room. Princess Lenore wants the moon. If she can have the moon, she will be well again. The moon, sir. Yes, the moon. M-O-O-N. Moon. Get it tonight. Why, the moon happens to be 35,000 miles away, and it is bigger than the room the princess lies in. Furthermore, it is made of molten copper. The king flew into a rage and rang for the royal wizard. Poof! The royal wizard's face grew very pale when the king told him that he wanted the moon for his little daughter, and that he expected the royal wizard to get it.
I have worked a great deal of magic for you in my time, Your Majesty.
Yes, now, what I want you to do now is to get me the moon.
Nobody can get the moon, sir. Why, it is, poof, 150,000 miles away. And it is made of, green cheese.
The king flew into another rage and rang for the royal court jester. What can I do for you, Your Majesty? Nobody can do anything for me. Princess Lenore wants the moon, and she will not be well until she gets it. I will go to her, Your Majesty. And the court jester crept softly out of the throne room and into Princess Lenore's bedroom.
Have you brought the moon to me?
No, not yet, but I will get it for you right away. How big is moon?
It is not as high as the big tree outside my window.
It will be very easy for me to get the moon for you. What is moon made of, princess?
Oh, why, it is made of gold, of course, silly.
The royal court jester left Princess Lenore's room and went to the royal goldsmith. He had him make a tiny round moon, just a little smaller than the thumbnail of Princess Lenore. Then he had him string it on a golden chain so the princess could wear it around her neck. When the court jester brought the moon to Princess Lenore, she was overjoyed. The next day she was well again and could go outside in the gardens and play. But the king's worries were not yet over. He knew that the moon would shine in the sky again that night. The Lord High Chamberlain said, "We could make some dark glasses for Princess Lenore. So dark that she would not be able to see the moon when it shines in the sky." This made the king very angry. If she wore dark glasses, then she would bump into things, and then she would be ill again. And so, poof! We must find a way to hide the moon so Princess Lenore will not see it when it shines in the sky tonight.
Ooh, I know what we can do. We can stretch some black curtains on poles. Poof, poof.
And Princess Lenore will not be able to see through them. Dark black curtains would keep out the air, and then she would be in again. Oh, suddenly,
When he looked up, he saw the bright rim of the moon just peeping over the horizon. He jumped up in a fright and rang for the royal court jester. Ring, ring, ring. What can I do for you, your majesty? Nobody can think of a way to hide the moon that will not make Princess Lenore ill. Suddenly, he jumped up from his throne and pointed to the window. Look! Who can explain how the moon can be shining in the sky when it is hanging on a golden chain around Princess Lenore's neck?
Who could explain how to get the moon when your wise men said it was too large and too far away? It was Princess Lenore. Therefore, Princess Lenore is wiser than your wise men. And so, they will ask her. And the court jester crept softly out of the throne room and into Princess Lenore's bedroom. The princess was wide awake and was staring out the window at the moon shining in the sky. Tell me, princess, how can moon be shining in sky when it is hanging on golden chain around your neck?
The princess looked at him and laughed.
That's easy, silly. For when I lose a tooth, a new one grows in its place, doesn't it? Oh, I should have thought of that. For it is the same way with the daylight. And it is the same way with the moon. For I guess it is the same way with everything.
The court jester tucked the covers around the sleeping princess. But before he left the room, he went over to the window and winked at the moon, for it seemed to the court jester that the moon had winked at him.
There are two types of people in this world, winners and losers. Winners see their dreams come true. Inside each of you, at the very core of your being, is a winner waiting to be awakened and unleashed upon the world. No hesitating, no complaining, and no excuses. Now I want you to go into this world and I want you to be winners. Luminous Sunshine.
By Michael Arndt. Miss Hoover, your brother's fine. Keep him away from sharp objects.
Hey, Frank.
Cheryl.
I'm so glad that you're still here.
Well, that makes one of us.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Olive, what are you guys doing? Rehearsing. It's dinner time. Richard, so what happened with Stan Grossman?
He's still in Atlanta.
So why hasn't he called you?
Will you let me handle this, please?
So, who do you hang out with? No one? I hate everyone. Well, what about your family? Everyone. So you hate me. Not yet. Fair enough. So, Cheryl, I could not notice Dwayne has stopped speaking.
Oh, he's going to join the Air Force Academy and become a fighter pilot, and he's taking a vow of silence until he reaches that goal.
You're kidding.
Hi, Uncle Frank. What happened to your arm?
Olive.
No, it's okay. I had a little accident. I'm okay now.
What is this? Chicken every night with the chicken. Holy God almighty. Is it possible just one time we can have something for dinner except frickin' chicken? Gosh, that Sunset Manor.
Well, if you like Sunset Manor so much, maybe you shouldn't have gotten yourself kicked out.
What happened at Sunset Manor?
He started,
He started snorting cocaine.
What? I'm old. I'd be crazy not to do that stuff.
How did it happen?
How did what happen?
Your accident.
Olive, honey, Uncle Frank didn't really have an accident. What happened was he tried to kill himself.
You did? Why?
I'm sorry, but I don't think this is an appropriate conversation for a 7-year-old.
She's gonna find out anyways.
Well, there were many reasons. Namely, though I fell in love with someone who couldn't love me back.
Who?
One of my grad students. I was very much in love with him.
Him? It was a boy? You fell in love with a boy? That's silly. So that's when you tried to kill yourself?
Well, no. What happened was the boy I fell in love with one of my colleagues, Larry Sugarman.
And that's when you tried...
Well, no. What happened was I got a little upset. I did some things I shouldn't have done, and I was fired.
And that's when you tried...
Well, no. That was all okay. What happened was, 2 days ago, the MacArthur Foundation, in its infinite wisdom, awarded a genius grant to Larry Sugarman, and that's when
So, that's the story, okay? Let's move on. Olive, how's your new routine coming?
Fine. Olive, why don't you tell them why you're doing it?
Okay, Little Miss Chili Pepper is a beauty contest, but you have to be 6 or 7 and you have to be a girl.
Well, good luck.
It's not about luck. It's about wanting to win. You gotta want it better than anyone.
Richard.
It's the truth. You know, actually, there's a message from Cindy on the machine. Something about Little Miss Sunshine.
What? Little Miss Sunshine? What? Cheryl, it's Cindy. Remember when Olive was runner-up in the regional Little Miss Sunshine competition? Well, they just called and said the winner had to forfeit her crown, which means Olive won regionals and has a place in the state contest in Redondo Beach. Little Miss Sunshine! Little Miss Sunshine! Oh my god, I got a pack!
We'll just have to fly out and come back on Monday.
We can't afford
Well,
it.
maybe find some help bringing it in.
I told you, I'm going to talk to Stan Grossman. But in the meantime, we're just...
Okay, we'll drive.
How are you gonna fit Grandpa in the Miata?
Well, Grandpa does not have to come.
What? I coached her. I gave her the moves. I gotta go.
Why don't you drive the VW?
I can't drive a shift, Richard. I've tried. I can't do
All
it.
right, I'll drive the bus.
Richard, I was told explicitly that I cannot leave Frank by himself. No offense, Frank.
None taken.
Fine, then we can't go unless Dwayne and Frank come with us.
Dwayne, please. Flight school. I will give you permission for flight school.
But I'm not going to have any fun. Yeah, go with you on that one, Dwayne.
Hey, hold on. Come over here for a second, Olive. Look, there's no sense in entering a contest if you don't think you're gonna win. So answer me this. Can you win Little Miss Sunshine?
Yes!
We're going to California.
Jesus, I'm tired.
Dad, your language, please.
She's listening to music. Olive, I'll give you $1 million if you turn around right now. See? Dwayne, can I give you some advice? I'll give it to you anyway. I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did when I was young.
Great, I can't wait to hear this.
Dwayne, this is the voice of experience talking. Are you getting any right now? Tell me, really. Jesus, you're what, 15? My God, man, you should be getting that young stuff.
Dad, enough. Stop it.
Would you kindly not interrupt me, dick? Look, right now, your jailbait, their jailbait is perfect. Once you hit 18, bam, you're looking at 3 to 5.
I will pull this truck over right now.
So pull over. You ain't gonna shut me up. I still got Nazi bullets in my ass.
What are you guys talking about?
Politics.
Oh.
What can I get for you?
A lumberjack, coffee, extra bacon.
And you?
I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Don't apologize, Olive. It's a sign of weakness.
Can I get the waffles? And what does alamodi mean?
That means it comes with ice cream.
Okay, alamodi.
You!
I'm not hungry.
Olive, can I tell you something about ice cream? When you eat ice cream, the fat in the ice cream becomes fat on your body.
Richard, I swear to God.
She's gonna find out anyways, remember? If you eat lots of ice cream, you might become fat. And if you don't, you're gonna stay nice and skinny, sweetie.
Olive, Richard is an idiot. I like a woman with a little meat on her bones.
Okay, Olive, let me ask you this. Those women in Miss America, are they skinny or are they fat?
They're skinny, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they don't eat a lot of ice cream.
Okay. Coffee, grapefruit, and here's your ice cream. I'll be back with your waffles in a sec.
Does anybody want my ice cream?
Yeah, I'd like a little Dwayne. Frank, boy, I sure feel sorry for anyone who doesn't want ice cream this early in the morning.
Wait, stop, don't eat it all.
So I start pitching my 9 steps to Stan. 2 minutes in, he stops me. He says, I can sell this. I mean, there's a fascinating science in how you roll these things out, you know.
Interesting.
And I can detect that note of sarcasm there, Frank. But I just want you to know, I feel sorry for you. Because sarcasm is the refuge of losers. That's one of the lessons of step 4.
Wow, Richard, how much do I owe you for those pearls of wisdom?
It's on me, buddy. There, that's the call I've been waiting for. Everyone, please. Stan, it's Richard. How did we do?
I'm gonna go practice my routine over there.
Okay, don't go too far.
I'll go grab a drink.
You're in Scottsdale right now, right? I'm gonna be coming right through there. I could swing right by and we could... No, Stan.
So what happened?
Nothing. Let's get out of here.
Wait a sec. I thought you said this was a done deal.
He said it was a done deal.
You got nothing? Oh my God, where does that leave us? Did you even try?
Yes, I tried. Of course I tried. Look, let's go. Let's get out of here.
Where's Olive?
Richard, whatever happens, you try to do something on your own. It took guts, and I'm proud of you, okay?
Thanks, Dad.
Okay, we're all checked in. Can I stay with Grandpa?
I got 2 beds. You can still use some rehearsing.
Frank, you guys will be okay in there?
We'll be fine.
Okay. Good night.
What a nightmare.
Richard, we have to talk.
Please, Sharon, let's just get through this and get home.
No, Richard, we have to talk now. Do you realize that we are going bankrupt?
We are not bankrupt.
Hey, Dwayne, don't listen to that.
I trusted him. You gotta trust to be trusted. That's step 6!
Oh, screw the 9 steps, Richard. They're not working. You know what? Forget it. It's over. I never want to hear about the 9 steps again.
Rah! Perfect. You're the world champion growler.
Grandpa, I'm kind of scared about tomorrow.
Olive, you're gonna blow him out of the water. They ain't gonna know what hit him.
Grandpa, am I pretty?
Olive, you're the most beautiful girl in the whole world.
Now you're just saying that.
Nah, I'm not. I love you. And it's not because of your brains, your personality. It's because you're beautiful, sweetie. Inside and out.
Grandpa, I don't want to be a loser.
You're not a loser, Olive. Where'd you get the idea that you're a loser?
Because Dad hates losers.
Whoa. Back up a second. You're not a loser, Olive. You know why? A real loser is someone who's so afraid of not winning that they don't even try. Now you're trying, right? Then you're not a loser. Good night, sweetie. I love you.
Grandpa? Grandpa? Dad?
Yeah, hon.
Grandpa won't wake up.
First of all, the doctors are doing everything they can to help Grandpa right now. Whatever happens, we're a family. And what's important is that we love each other.
Are you the family of Edwin Hoover? I'm sorry, we did everything we could. It was just, well, it was too much. He probably just fell asleep and never woke up. Dad, what's gonna happen to Grandpa? Uncle Frank, do you think there's a heaven?
Well, that's hard to say, Olive. I don't think anyone knows for sure.
I know, but what do you think?
I think there is one.
Do you think I'll get in? Promise?
Yes.
Mom, Dwayne has 20/20 vision. Okay, now I'm gonna test if you're colorblind. What's the letter inside the circle? No, inside the circle. It's an A. It's right there. Can't you see it?
Oh man, Dwayne, I think you might be colorblind. You can't fly jets if you're colorblind. There's an emergency back here. Pull over! Richard!
No!
What happened? He's colorblind. He can't fly.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Dwayne. Dwayne, honey, I am so sorry. Dwayne, come on. We have to go.
I'm not going. I don't care. I'm not getting in that bus again.
Dwayne, for better or for worse, we're your family.
No, you're not my family. I don't want to be your family. I hate you people. I hate you. Divorce? Bankrupt? Suicide? You're losers! Losers.
Dwayne.
Please, just leave me, Mom, okay? Please.
I don't know what to do.
Bum.
So all the sun's coming
Bum.
cover
Bum.
brown.
And if you find some love for these clowns, turn around, turn around.
Okay, let's go. I'm sorry about what I said. I didn't mean it.
It's okay. Come on.
Here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright.
Hi, we'd like to register.
I'm sorry, registration ended at 3.
Oh, have heart. We're 4 minutes late. We just drove here all the way from Albuquerque.
Then you should have been here by 3.
Please, we just wanted to compete, that's all.
Don't yell at me, sir. I'm sorry you're late, but there's something I can do.
Miss Jenkins, I can put him in the system.
It's your time. Excuse me.
Thank you so much. You don't know what this means.
Mom, it's Miss California. Look, it's really her.
You want to go say hi?
Hi, what's your name?
Olive.
What's your talent, Olive?
I like dancing.
Dancing was too hard for me. I'm a singer. You must be a good dancer.
I am. I'm really good.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Olive. Best of luck. Miss California, do you eat ice cream?
Yes, I love ice cream. My favorite flavor is chocolate cherry Garcia.
Although technically, that's frozen yogurt.
Okay, thanks, bye. Mom, she eats ice cream.
I heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the 24th annual Little Miss Sunshine pageant.
Sometimes I wish I can sleep until I'm 18.
You know Marcel Proust, French writer, total loser. He gets down to the end of his life and realizes all those years of suffering, those were the best years of his life because they made him who he was. So if you sleep till you're 18, think of all the suffering you're gonna miss.
You know what? Screw beauty contests. Life is one beauty contest after another. Screw it. Screw the Air Force Academy. If I want to fly, I'll fly. Do what you love. Screw the rest.
I'm glad you're talking again, Dwayne. Not nearly as stupid as you look.
Yeehaw! Woo! I'm going backstage.
Yeah, see ya.
Hey, what's up?
Can I talk to you for a second?
Sure.
I don't want Olive going on. She's not gonna win. She doesn't have a chance.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
It doesn't.
It does! I don't want Olive to lose. I know what it feels like, and it's not good.
Are you authorized to be backstage?
Nope. Mom, I don't want Olive doing this.
Oh, my God!
Look around. I don't want these people judging Olive. Screw them. She's not a beauty queen, Mom. She's just not.
Listen to me. Olive is who she is. I know you guys want to protect her, but we gotta let Olive be Olive.
Olive Hoover?
Olive, honey, it's time. Olive, if you want to sit this one out, we're proud of you anyways.
It's time. Let's go.
Good luck, honey.
Is she going on?
She's going on.
We have one more contestant, and then we'll be crowning our winner. Please welcome Miss Olive Hoover.
I'd like to dedicate this to my grandpa who showed me these sick moves.
What is your daughter doing?
She's kicking ass is what she's doing.
Get her off my stage.
Okay. Olive,
She doesn't belong here.
you know what? Screw it.
She's a super freak, she's super freaky.
Well.
Stop that!
Well.
Get down from there! Security!
Cause she's a super freak. She's super freaky.
Frank!
Sorry.
Okay, you're out. We're dropping the charges. On one condition. That you don't ever enter your child in a beauty contest in the state of California ever again. Ever.
I think we can live with that.
Olive, your grandpa would have been so proud of you.
Sun.
Come on, guys. Let's get out of here.
Here it comes.
Are you comfortable? Right there, let the cool get in there, right there. Are you comfortable? Right there, let the cool get in there.
Barbara, I love the new house, but don't you think it's a little big for the two of us?
Maybe it's time to start a family.
Barbara, I love you.
To let the groove get in here. Adam, watch out!
Beetlejuice by Michael McDowell and Warren Scarron.
Music and lyrics by William Attaway.
Barbara, are you sure you're all right?
Yes, I'm fine. My neck just still hurts from that crash.
You know what? How did we get back up to the house?
Adam, it's fine. We're home.
Barbara, I don't know if we survived that crash.
Adam, look at this.
Handbook for the recently diseased.
That says deceased. Woo! But where did it come from? What does it say?
Meet hot singles in my area. Oh, this couldn't have been for us. Welcome to the afterlife.
Adam, I think we really are dead.
Delia Dietz, welcome to your new home.
Charles, this place is disgusting.
Nonsense. Look at this house. It looks almost as good as me. Okay, and look at that kitchen. You might finally be able to cook me a decent meal.
Good one.
Thanks.
Lydia.
Mother hates it. I could live here.
Who are these people? Adam, how long have we been gone for?
I'm not sure. Maybe this is heaven.
Ay, caramba!
Nope, this is hell.
This is the single most unattractive window treatment I have ever seen in my entire existence.
Otho, I am so glad you could make it. The woman who lives here had the aesthetic of Betty Crocker.
These people are so mean.
Oh, look. An indoor outhouse.
Happy place.
Well, Otto had an intuition. Call it a hunch. That this would be a fabled monstrosity of a house. And would you look at that? It certainly is.
I hate these people in our house.
No.
And our house isn't that ugly.
No.
We're not completely helpless.
No.
I've been reading the handbook of the diaphragm.
Deceased.
Woo! No.
Yeah, the Book of Despair says there's a word for people in our predicament, honey.
No.
Ghosts!
Jesus Cristo! There is absolutely no organic flow in this house.
Although for this wall, I was thinking a pale ochre.
Oh, yes, that's lovely. I was thinking dynamite!
Lydia, how about we build you a dark room in the basement?
My whole life is a dark room. One big dark room.
That's weird.
Nonsense, we'll go to school. Maybe meet a farm boy.
Yeah, maybe if he's nice, he'll let me hang myself by a rope in his barn.
That's also weird.
So what happened to the people who lived here before?
They died.
Well, of course they died, but how?
I think they were in a car crash or something.
Did you hear that?
I think it's coming from over there.
Well, what should we do?
Go over there.
Okay.
Adam, I think that little girl saw us.
She couldn't have. We're ghosts.
The attic? Is someone up there? She saw us. I could feel it.
Barbara, look, the TV.
Having difficulty adjusting? Having trouble with the living? Then you should call me.
Beetlejuice!
I'm the afterlife's leading bio-exorcist who will scare him real bad. Real bad. Oh, I can possess whoever you need me to possess. Possession! I'll even possess myself if I gotta.
He'll even possess himself if he's gotta.
Babe, I got demons running all through me. Demons. I'm your guy.
He's your guy.
Say it once.
Beetlejuice.
Say it twice.
Beetlejuice.
Third time's the charm.
Beetlejuice.
I love you.
For more information, call 1-800-555-DEAD. With Beetlejuice, there's a risk of loss of eyes, loss of tongue, loss of control of all movements and actions. Consult your doctor if symptoms are severe.
Adam, do you think this Beetlejuice guy could actually help?
We definitely need help, but I'm not sure this Beetle Boy is the answer. Do you need help?
Get your paws off me. Who are you? I'm Juno, your caseworker. I evaluate individuals and determine if help is needed, deserved, available. And I can see that you guys need it. I'm not your mother.
Okay.
We need help. We deserve help.
Are you available?
No. What's wrong?
Well, we're very unhappy.
What did you expect? You're dead.
Well, we'd like some help getting these people out of our house.
What about the guy in the commercial?
Beetle deuces.
Don't! Say his name. You don't want his help.
Why not?
Wasn't going to bring it up, but I'll tell you. He went out on his own as a freelance bio-exorcist. Claims he gets rid of the living. He's been sulking around the living world ever since. And he can only be brought back by saying his name 3 times.
Oh, Adam!
Well,
I strongly suggest that you remove the dieces yourselves without his help.
For ghosts, you're really bad at being scary.
you can actually see us?
Is this like a trick question?
Well, tell the truth.
Of course I can see you.
Why can you see us, but nobody else can?
I read through the handbook for the recently deceased.
Well,
It says that live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual.
well, you look like a normal girl to me.
Why aren't you Night of the Living Dead, all bloody pus and veins?
We're just ghosts.
Why do you want to scare everyone?
Well, we wanted to get you out of our house.
Why don't you leave?
We can't. We love our house, and we haven't left since we died.
Death. Oh my god, you guys really are dead! What was it like? The funeral? Did you cry?
Not exactly.
Well, if you two are dead, I want to be dead too!
No!
Lydia!
Wait, it's just that being dead doesn't make anything easier.
Sweet sassy molasses!
Do you think you can see us?
A nickel!
Maybe you can relax in a haunted house, but I can't.
What do you mean haunted house?
There are ghosts living in our attic, didn't you know? They have a handbook for the recently deceased.
Well,
And everything.
trust me, Lydia. Nothing is as scary as your mother when she... Honey!
I cannot believe you are doing this to me. Ghosts? Do I need angst? No, I certainly do not.
I told them you were too mean to be scared of ghosts.
If I hear one more thing about this haunted house, ghost, or that stupid handbook,
Or the recently deceased.
I will go insane and I will take you with me.
Honey, you look lovely today.
Shut up, Charles!
Got it.
We have got to contact this Beetle Dude guy.
That's not it. It's Beetlejuice.
Go ahead.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice!
You called? Who are you?
Adam,
Hey, you're the dead.
Aren't you dead?
Heck no, baby. I'm a businessman. I'm the man what I am. Now who do I gotta kill?
Kill?
Yeah.
No, just get some people out of our house.
Family, right? Obnoxious. I bet you've got mommy, daddy, piglets,
One daughter.
a daughter. She got good legs. Oh God, I just love a good young leg. Now, buddy, can I ask you something? You know, man to man, a little mano-y-mano. How does she feel about, short old man, dirty little lady?
Hey! That is a young lady that you are talking about!
And what are you gonna do about it?
I just wanted to make sure you knew this was a young lady, okay?
Excuse us for just one moment.
I do not like this
I
guy.
agree. We have to figure out something ourselves. I think we can do this, you know? Wait, all we have to do
Why? Come on, look at us. 3 peas in a pod, best friends for life.
Oh, well, what are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I graduated from Harvard Business School. I
Lived through the Black Plague and I had a pretty fun time doing that. No, I've seen The Exorcist 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every time I see it. Ah! So, do you think I'm qualified?
Oh, God.
Come on, you. Want to get someone out of your house? I want to get someone out of your house.
Come on, let's strike a deal here.
No! Beetlejuice!
How did you do that?
Just a hunch. Remember, things come in threes.
I think we really pissed him off.
Adam, I don't care.
Whew. Sassy. I like.
Adam, stop.
Okay, now how are we gonna get these people out of our
I
house?
don't know. We can scare them off ourselves. I've got an idea. Possess them.
So, Delia, how's your food?
Oh my god, every time I enjoy a decent meal.
Now, Lydia, favor us about your ghost.
Otho, have you always been this interested in the supernatural?
Well, of course, darling. I was one of New York City's leading paranormal researchers.
No! I will not allow this type of conversation at my dinner table. Lydia hasn't had any therapy, and I will not allow you to ruin this.
No! Oh, mi sadeo.
Daylight's come and me one go home.
Oh, mi sadeo, mi sadeo, mi sadeo, mi sadeo, mi sadeo.
Daylight's come and me one go home. Daylight's come and me one go home. Daylight's come and me one go home.
We did it!
They had to have scared them.
Holy guacamole, I feel so alive.
Why do I have a bongo?
These ghosts do have quite the urban sense of humor.
It's fascinating. I want to meet these lovely creatures face to face.
Are they lovely, Charles? Are they?
Yes, they are.
I cannot believe this.
Me neither.
Lydia, bring the ghosts.
I can't bring the ghosts. They're not here. Leave them and me alone.
Otho, could you actually do something with them? You're a ghost medium, right?
Perhaps, if I were properly motivated, I did happen to steal the ghost book of the dingo.
That says deceased.
English is hard.
Why me?
Barbara, I don't think that worked at all.
Well, if possession didn't scare them, then I don't know what will.
You two, come here. I heard that you. I heard that you. I heard that you. I'm not your mother.
Okay.
I heard that you two are working with Beetlejuice and that you let Otho get a hold of the handbook for the recently deceased. Damn it, what is that?
The handbook? When?
You really screwed up this time. How many times do I gotta tell ya? Never trust the living.
I am alone. I am utterly alone. Dear she-beast mother and somewhat decent father, you have sealed my fate with your betrayal, and by the time you read this, I will have jumped, plummeted to my demise. Goodbye. Adam and Barbara?
Cookie, they're dead ski. Gone, so out of here, deceased.
Of course they're dead. They're ghosts. Are you a ghost?
I'm the ghost with the most, babe. Well, you look like a girl that I could really relate to, so how do you feel about, getting me out of here? Because you see, this whole death thing, it's just... It's just too creepy. But I mean, hey, if you get me out of here, we can talk more about this, and all you gotta do is, say my name 3 times.
Why can't you say your name?
Well, you see, I can't say my name because... I can't tell it to you because if I tell you, you tell your friends, and your friends are calling me on the horn all the time. And then I gotta show up at shopping centers for openings and sign autographs, and it makes my life a living hell. Okay, hell! But, do you know how to play charades?
Yes.
Of course you do.
2 words. First word, 3 syllables.
Oh no, dummy, 2. Oh, you gotta.
I don't know what that signal means.
It means look down, bimbo.
Beetle. Beetle. Beetle fruit. Breakfast beetle. Volkswagen?
Ugh. It's a good thing you're beautiful, kid, because you are dumb.
Beetlejuice?
That's it. Like it.
Your name is Beetlejuice? That's almost as bad
Oh,
as
you
that
said
one.
it 2 times, kid. Come on, just say it once more.
No,
Give it to me.
I want to talk to Adam and Barbara.
What? You don't gotta talk to Barbara?
What are you doing here?
He was on his way out.
Ooh, girl, I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave.
Beat it, beetle soup.
Good one.
You don't need to worry about him. You need to worry about people like Otho who stole your book of the decapitated. Deceased. Whatever. Otho is a mediocre ghost medium, so the spells don't usually work. But if stumbled upon the right words, they could hurt you as an exorcism. I'll go try and stop this.
Be careful. I think this is what we've been waiting for, honey. A real, live little girl.
I've always wanted to have a little girl.
And she likes us. A lot. I think she needs us.
And I think we need her.
Otho, are the ghosts still here?
Oh, they're still here. They're just not showing up yet.
Otho, can you do...
No!
Be quiet, girl.
What am I worried about, Otho? You can't.
Julio Ricardo Mantoe de Rosa Ramirez. Esteban Julio Ricardo Mantoe de Rosa Ramirez. Esteban Julio Ricardo!
Adam, what's happening?
Barbara!
What's happening to them?
I don't really know.
They're dying permanently.
They're already dead. They can't feel.
Help us, please! Beetlejuice!
So you're ready for me now?
You've got to help them.
Then I'll help them. wife.
Your wife? But you're
I'm
disgusting.
beautiful.
Fine. Just help them. Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice!
Oh, attention, Kmart shoppers!
We only got 4 minutes, no hesitating. Grab a board.
Grab a girl. Hey, you.
Dave.
Be the preacher.
Okay.
Preacher?
Bop, bop, bop.
You know what?
What?
You guys have at it.
Okay, continue.
Do you, Beetlejuice?
Whoa, doggy. Nobody says the B word. Come on now.
Do you, sir,
There you go.
take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?
Well, you know, it's a pretty big decision. I said if I was gonna do it, I was only gonna do it once, but, you know. Okay, sure.
Do you, Lydia, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?
Don't worry, Snookums. I've got this for you.
I'm Lydia Dietz, and I'm of sound mind. The man next to me is the one I want. Oh, yes, how I love that man of mine.
Very well. I now pronounce you.
Beetlejuice!
Don't you!
Beetlejuice!
Stop it!
Beetlejuice! You two almost died. Because of me.
Lydia, it doesn't matter. We would do anything for you.
We love you.
But I don't know if we can stay.
Well, why not? You're like the family I've always wanted. But my parents.
You know, we could stay and try and put this house together again. All of us.
Well, I suppose.
I know we're ghosts, but we're not going anywhere else. We can live together, living and the dead. Because this is heaven.